So a what kind of priest is watching the show?
Oh, a Greek Orthodox Christian priest from Greece.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was talking to him the other day because I'm going to be a godmother, and so I will be being because I'm Greek and raised Greek Orthodox Christian. So presumably I'm forever and ever Greek Orthodox Christian, no matter really what. And so I was meeting with the priests, and we are going over the entire ritual. And we are having this like really long, like 3-hour conversation, which inevitably led to me talking about my Twitch channel. And then he asked me, what's the name of it? And I can't lie, make up a name. Like, I'm not good at lying. Not to a priest either.
Yeah,
In the
absolutely.
house of God, God is watching. God was watching.
God would kill you then and there and send you to hell.
And so I told him the name. And so he said he's like, oh, take a look, or I'll have my daughters take a look. So I'm having potentially a lot of very unprepared eyes potentially on my horror stream, my communist horror stream. So
yeah, the first thing that they tune in on is just like you just talking about like the exportation of labor to the global south or something.
Yeah.
It's like,
also, while I'm in a bikini in a kiddie pool and like bouncing on an inflatable seal. So yeah, that was yesterday actually for me. I took yesterday off from stream and had to do all this godmothering stuff, and so the baptism will be in a week, and I'll be officially closer to God. That's good.
I'm glad. Yeah. Well, you know what else? Welcome to Red Planet. It's a show about based stuff and based people who do based stuff, and how capitalism isn't working. I've had like 3 Monster Energies and 4 coffees today, and I'm not going to be able to say any of my words good. So I'm going to try and do some deep breathing while I ask Tim, what was the most base thing you did this week?
I was literally just trying to fill out that section in our notes because I woke up real late this morning and got on the Zoom call like very late.
Sleepy Tim.
So I am a sleepy Tim. I'm wearing pajama pants even. That's where I'm at right
now. Cozy, sleepy Tim.
yeah. I was trying to think about it.
Based and sleepy pilled.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly what the most base thing I did this week was. I was working pretty solidly all week. It's really, it's kind of hard. I mean, it's hard to single something out, but because I just operate at such a high base
perpetually
line,
a base level,
but,
right?
Like the most base thing I did this week was, like it's really hard to pick. But
maybe being a snuggle bug in a rug. Maybe that's the most base thing you've been doing this week.
I legitimately think it is. So I may have to use my Red Planet host veto on my base and pass it over to Kira. What did you do this week that was extremely based?
Well, other than infiltrating the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese, so yeah, 2 things, I guess. They're not like ultra based, but they're just fun. So I've been into cake baking. I've taken up the hobby of baking cakes. I finally have a hobby. It's been so long since I've had a hobby, so that's awesome. And so I've been really into it. And one of the base things I did was made a birthday cake for my sister's kid, who is gendered a boy, but I'm really not into gendering kids according to their genitals. I think it's weird.
True.
It always weirds me out too when people insist that they're for trans, like cis people insist they're for trans rights, but then they proceed to just gender kids by genitals. Anyways, so I made her kid a blue cake, but then inside I filled it with the trans flag colors, which I thought was fun. So it was a sneaky surprise for all my probably pretty conservative people at the party, because everyone in my periphery in this city that I moved to seems to be quite conservative. So that was fun. And then also I baited people to my stream in a bikini. So I've been doing these like bimbo streams lately where my brain's just not working and I don't feel like having it work. So I wore like this little bikini and got people to watch me. And then I opened the Communist Manifesto and started reading it. And a bunch of people were like, maybe I should become a communist, blah, blah, blah. And I don't think that they're actually ever going to follow through with it. But that was my little attempt at, propaganda. So that was me. But Soph, what basting did you do this week?
Kara. Had a kind of crazy week, honestly. I've been really busy getting ready for something very based next week. Because Nat and I, but sadly not Mule, we're going to go to France and do a little Red Planet project in France from tomorrow, actually.
That's great.
Yeah, we're meeting up with, so we're going to the land of the based, the land of the guillotine and the riot, to learn all about why they so based, and maybe do some
land
reporting
of
on it.
The bourgeois revolutions, you mean?
Are you gonna cut off Amazon's power? Are you gonna push over some cops? Okay, because don't do those things. We will all be very disappointed. The Red Planet team and all of the audience right now.
Red Planet most based answers have a particular range from like, I took care of myself, like I'm in my pajama pants right now, to I can't talk about it. This is always the range that they sit between. So I know, we have these two represented this week.
I feel like for me it's like, oh, I can't talk about it because I can't talk about it, or I can't talk about it because there's nothing to talk about. It's like nothing in between.
But I also don't like, I don't know, we don't hold productivity to be particularly based here on Red Planet, but I had a productive week for like my personal things that I wanted to get done. I finished writing, and then today filming a video essay about AI. And like the weird cults around it of people who believe that they're like about to invent a fully conscious AI. So like I've been trying to get that ready before we go away. Yeah. So I mean, like, busy week this week, and then like we're gonna be chilling in France doing redacted and removed for legal reasons next week. So yeah. But Mule, what about you? What was the most base thing you did this week?
Well, I've not really done much base stuff either, so don't feel bad, Tim. I'm literally like, yeah, it hit me pretty hard that my passport expired, and I can't go to France. So yeah, I
hope you can. I hope it turns around all of a sudden. But
I've sent it off. I've sent off my passport to get renewed. So fingers crossed. I need every Red Planet listener, chat member, to have all the thingies crossed. Cross it all.
Send him your power.
Yeah, lend me your power. Lend me your power.
Pray like you're a Greek Orthodox Christian.
I'm sending it now, Mule. You can make the spirit bomb.
Thanks. What's the spirit bomb thing again? I can't remember. It doesn't.
I don't.
Anyway. Oh no, it is. He's just like that, isn't he? Anyway. Yeah. So. But I have been getting, I don't know if I mentioned this on the show last week, but I have been getting big into meditating, and I've been doing that more and more because I've not been able to go to the gym due to my post-viral fatigue. So I've been trying to train the mind instead, and it's been really, really good. I would never sit here and say that like meditation is great and it's going to fix your mental health problems and shit like that, because Lord knows it hasn't fixed mine, but it's certainly made things a lot easier to deal with. And I think like it does give you like a very nice sense of calm, and it definitely helps me like deal with things like learning about like the awful news that we hear about the climate and climate catastrophes that are going on, and stuff like that. So yeah, I think just like keeping on top of that, I basically meditated every week for about half an hour a day, which I think is pretty good. And
wow, that's amazing. Actually, a half an hour every day.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I'm not like the whole time. I'm not sitting there like levitating. Like I don't. Do you know what I mean?
He only levitates for a few seconds each time.
It's just a little. It's just a little bit. You know what I mean? I'm in training.
Half an hour a day is how much time I was supposed to be spending learning French for this trip, and I did 20 minutes on the first day.
I am just seeing someone in chat reminding me that I did do. This is exactly what happened last week. I said that I didn't do anything based, and then I remembered that I had done something based. And the chatter in the Twitch chat is absolutely correct. Thank you, MBND. I forced my Twitch chat to send some emails to Sarah Jane Baker on Monday's stream, and just basically did it along with everybody. So yeah, I did that as well. Like basically Monday just kind of asked people to sort of like, you know, put themselves in the shoes of, you know, what she's going through, the fact that she's been arrested for like literally no reason, and that, you know, she's being held on remand, and there's every chance that they want to like really like keep her in there for as long as fucking possible, because this is just, it's just vile. You know what I mean? We did a whole big prison abolition stream where like, we checked out the Prisoner Solidarity Network's YouTube channel, who we've had on Red Planet before. So we were checking out John, speaking to a bunch of people. And really funny thing, actually, you know how we asked Anita, Sophie? We asked Anita if she'd heard of the Prisoner Solidarity Network. She was in one of their videos, so she definitely has.
Oh, nice.
It was really funny. They were outside this one prison in London somewhere, like doing a protest, and we just saw Anita in the background. It was like, there she is, amazing. So yeah, it was a good stream, and I think I educated a bunch of people who have been in my community for a while but don't quite understand like how radical my politics are, I guess, and just explaining to him just about like the idea of prisons, like how much they don't actually keep us safe, how much like, you know, I think the best way that you can explain to leftists if they care about women, so like big but there, like big if, about prison abolition, is by explaining to them that like only 1% of rapes is ever like convicted. Do you know what I mean? So like, you know, oh, you want to sit here and say that like, oh, we gotta have prisons to keep all the rapists in. No, they're all out there. 99% of them are just fucking out there. So
exactly.
Anyway,
the system is beyond a hysterical point of failure.
Yeah. So
well, luckily all leftists care about women, so that's that's going to go really well. I can't imagine that there are any leftists who hate women.
I know, what a silly. You wouldn't even really be a leftist, would you? If
I certainly wouldn't count what.
No. Anyway, we are doing a show, and that's the end of my bit where I say that I've done the most base thing this week. But we want to know some base things that you've been doing as well. You can message us on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok, or send an email to based@redplanetshow.com. Include your name and pronouns if you're cool with that, and we may shout it out in a later episode. So think about that. And I can't believe I've just done that, because now I have to segue into me talking about the news. So it's going to sound a little clunky, but Mule, do you have something to talk to us about Brazil? Yes, Mule, I do. So
you're so funny, Mule. You're really funny. I just want to let you know, you make me laugh. You're wonderful, just funny. I'm glad we're friends.
I needed that today, honestly. Thank you. So anyway, I'm going to tell you about this news story now. So in Brazil, homophobic hate speech is now illegal. It's illegal to be homophobic. It's very, very good. It's very, very based. So basically Lula's administration is now sort of like, you know, basically, I think they're the people who sort of put this forward. But basically there was a 9-1 ruling issued on Tuesday in Brazil's Supreme Federal Court, determined that the country's existing federal hate crime law also protects individual LGBTQ plus people. And so homophobic hate speech is now punishable by a prison sentence in Brazil. And although a 2019 ruling found that homophobic hate speech like racism in Brazil was a crime, that decision applied to the LGBTQ plus community as a whole, not to slurs against individual people. The Brazilian advocacy organization ABGLT argued that those protections were not adequate, and the court agreed. So it was a combination of the ABGLT and I guess people in the court, various lobbying groups and stuff like that. It's always going to come from activism, do you know what I mean? But the ruling means that people who violate the law could be subject to a prison sentence of anywhere from 2 to 5 years. Lamau, the person who wrote this news story, has added on the end.
I wrote that. Kira. Yeah, I thought it was funny. Elon Musk is pissing and shitting and coming when and not in the good way, in like the upset way.
I can't believe they're sending people to the Lulag for free speech.
Exactly, the Lulag.
I love the Lulag. So the next story is I don't know. We don't have a Tim story sort of like flagged here. Tim, are you gonna tell us about this one?
I'll take the next one. So, women in Arizona prison rise up against overheated cells. Overheated cells is actually something that you hear a lot about in really bad prison conditions. It's something that actually led to the protests at Waikeria prison here a couple years back. That was like a giant thing. It was all over the news and stuff. Well, that was that and a whole bunch of other things. But but it's one of those things, people are like cooped up in these like cells all the time, and in hot places they can get like incredibly hot. It's an issue that comes up so often that you would think that that there would be some, it would be addressed kind of like industry wide, but obviously there's bigger problems with prisons that prevent them from wanting to actually address these things. So an organizer for the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, Cara Williams, started getting emails about heat complaints from women in the prison that the Lumley unit had been put on lockdown after a fight had broken out, and that temperatures inside the cells were over 90 degrees. So as these units don't have air conditioning, some women asked to have temperatures checked in their cells, claiming they should not be forced into them when temperatures are excessive, but corrections officers refused, according to emails from women detained. The exact same kind of stuff happens time and time again. It's like the prisoners will have a complaint and the staff just, they write it off, they don't report it, all this kind of stuff. So they were ignoring the prisoners, like, very reasonable requests for a long time. And then, so obviously, like, when you're already in this terrible situation of you being like locked up for long periods of time, and like these all these other little things build up, like the heat and all these other things like that. Of course things are gonna break out, like people are gonna start fights, people are gonna get kind of fed up and restless and all this kind of stuff. So so there was this big kind of fight, and afterwards women got placed back in the cells after fight, but the correction officers wanted to close their doors, which is when the protest actually began. So in a lot of prisons, there's certain hours where they actually just like keep the doors open, especially ones where it's not like like it's like low security prisoners and stuff. So they'll have certain hours where they'll be like, okay, the doors are open, and then it gets to this point and we close them or whatever. But because there had been a fight, they were like, no, we're just going to close them right now. And they're like, well, it's hot, it's all this kind of stuff. So that's when they actually kind of kicked off, and the fight kind of became into like a big protest. And so that led to one of the women being pepper sprayed, and which put her into a seizure. And they kind of apparently they left her. They didn't actually have a medic or anything come to her, which is also super dangerous. A prisoner in New Zealand died just like last month, I think it was, from this happening. Especially in prisons, a lot of the guards will kind of just be like, oh no, they're just doing it for attention, or whatever, blah blah blah. And so so after this happened, after the pepper spraying, women started breaking things, obviously in frustration. And the other prison riot classic is lighting trash cans on fire, which is the same thing that started the main events at the Waikeria prison uprising. It's one of those things where it's like you have so little avenues to really kind of like push back against the prisons, and a lot of the time like destruction and vandalism of prison property is like a huge thing. But but starting fires in particular, because they're in like enclosed areas, it forces the jail to actually address it. Like they'll leave you like in a room just like smashing your toilet, or like like pulling the handles off the taps or anything like that for hours, like, but if you start a fire, then it's like they have to address it immediately, so yes, I started some fires in bins, which so then the officers came in with tear gas and so used tear gas on about 30 to 40 women and handcuffed them. And so there's all this information is coming from these detained women, by the way, who are emailing out, which is like wild because this kind of stuff should be, like obviously reported on before then. So Arizona's Corrections Department conducted studies showing how heat leads to the fights and had been warning for months about the heat issues at the prison. Like, this is not new information when it's even, even if you think about when there's like a heat wave in your city, how people start getting a little bit, people get a little bit short with each other. People get, like you get a lot more road rage and all this kind of stuff. Like, imagine that, but then everyone is like trapped inside a very small building with the same people every day, So, and obviously exposed to other inhumane conditions. So issues with the cooling have come up yearly in states in the South and Southwest, according to ACLU attorney Corinne Kendrick. It's something that we do see across the country, whereas part of this punitive mentality that officials don't want to put any sort of cooling system in prisons and jails because they say it's some sort of luxury, she said, which is kind of what I was talking about before with, like they don't have a reason to want to fix this stuff. And it is wild because some of these prisons, like especially like privately owned prisons like Serco and stuff, these are like multi-billion-dollar operations that it all kind of gets like, people look at these figures where they're like, oh, it costs this much money to keep a prisoner in jail every year. And usually it's like they take the full number of the operating costs of the prison and they divide it by the prisoners and they go like, wow, it costs us $1 million to keep that person locked up. But in reality, the money that they spend towards the actual prisoners and stuff is like very, very low. And there's, a lot obviously on the top for like, bonuses, consultancy fees, all this kind of stuff like that. And they generally try and keep the actual costs of keeping a prisoner extremely low. So there's definitely money in the budget for things like, like air conditioning and all that kind of stuff. But it just is nowhere near their list of priorities, and which, I mean, obviously the way that how this has gotten out by women inside emailing out, like getting a message out, is like another huge thing. When the Waikiria uprising happened, the only statement they were able to get out from the prisoners was actually through People Against Prisons Aotearoa, run by friends of the cast, an awesome group over here. And it's wild because they the statement just kind of confirmed a lot of stuff that had already been reported on by like independent ombudsman organizations years before. They were like, these are the conditions, all this kind of stuff, and just nothing had changed in these years. And then so when this information came out about like the conditions that people were in, a lot of people were just like, so what, like they're prisoners, and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, man, like I always find it wild when like people will people love prison TV shows, right?
I'm inching closer and closer to like a Mark Fisher massive derail here.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting into, it's like people love like a prison show about like white middle class women that make a mistake and end up in the slammer, or like a dude that made a mistake but he's
which, by the way, on that, like I think it's most of women in UK prison, or like the most common crime for which women are in prison in the UK is not paying the TV license. Getting caught out on like not having paid for the TV license. Like, it's crazy.
Exactly.
It's beyond
like
broken.
Prison is like full of these people that probably have way better sob stories than like anything like anything you could get on like a Netflix show or something like that. But like it's easier for people to think of prisoners in the abstract, like they're really like this terrible grisly person or whatever. And that's exactly how it was reported on. Even just before this came live, I was like, oh, I should look up some stuff about the Waikiria uprising because it was very similar. And all of the news stories talk just about like, like how bad the prisoners were and how brave the firefighters were. They don't talk about like any of the conditions that led up to it. They don't talk about the prisoners' demands. They don't talk about like how it was resolved, anything like that. It's just like, oh, these bad men started some fire and climbed up on the roof and threw like, threw some pieces of like, it was like just random to try to set out brave boys in blue. So yeah, it's like people have a very hard time seeing prisoners as like worthy of these kind of like basic what everyone else would refer to as human rights. It's like this the dehumanization of the prisoner is a very real thing.
This is one of the reasons why like I really hate the liberal motto, sunlight is the best disinfectant, because
you
can I used to believe that, by the way, very much. I used to believe that you should just show the
democracy
bad stuff.
dies in darkness though, Kira, don't you know?
I used to believe you should show the bad stuff, and that's the best way to deal with the bad stuff. But if we're showing that prisoners are routinely like always being subjected to these horrible conditions, it's very well known, and then you have a society that sees that, but it's so morally bankrupt by design that it just simply
out. I'm doing it.
Let me finish. Just morally bankrupt that if it views this so-called like sunlit, illuminated reality, it just goes good. I'm glad they're suffering. It's not actually disinfecting anything.
Like, I'm glad to see this. This is
right. Yeah, they should be suffering during the summer. Why should they have air conditioning? Anyways, Sophie.
No, well, we talked about it a bit on last time with Anita, but it's like Fisher said this thing that the figure of control is the worker prisoner, right? And this is like a two-sided person in society. Like, we are all this, depending on whether we make the good choices or the bad choices. If you make the good choices, then you carry on being a good worker. And if you make the bad choices, then you turn into a bad prisoner. And it's like, people think prisoners don't deserve anything, don't deserve human rights, because that's the deal they're like buying into. They're like, I get to not be a prisoner because I buy into the deal. And if I try and resist the deal, they'll make me a prisoner.
You participated in the social contract. You decided to, you saw a social contract and you decided to be a civil participant of society.
Born, they gave me the contract. They make sure I read all of it, made sure I understood it. And then I signed it and I agreed to be in society 100%.
And that's why you get to have the things and other people don't.
Yeah, exactly. They gave me a complete open free market choice of which country I'd like to be born into, which society I'd like to live in.
I love that.
Free market choice.
And I was just like, of all the countries, like I just think, I'm down here in Aotearoa for a minute. That's cool, but like ultimately, Britain just seems like the fucking place to be. That's where I want to be right now.
Going up, yeah.
Yep.
Nice,
anyway,
nice.
I think, Kira, you are going to tell us about FIFA and a creepy man who sucks.
Yeah. Oh. I hope I'm saying this correctly. Luis Rubiales? If somebody,
yep, Luis, yep.
Luis Rubiales. So FIFA suspends Luis Rubiales, and Spain Football Federation formally investigates Luis Rubiales for sexual violence. If you don't know what that means, I'm about to explain. And this story, in my opinion, is a very important demonstration of like how pervasive rape culture is still in our society. And it's not the most egregious example of sexual violation, but it is a hugely public example of it where everyone witnessed it. Yet still we see the same like script being followed, that by patriarchy.
You win the World Cup, what do you get? You get sexually assaulted on international television.
Mm-hmm. So I'll just walk you through all the events. August 20th. So during the ceremony following the World Cup final, Spanish forward Jenny Hermoso is first embraced, then kissed on the lips by Luis Rubiales, who I believe is the head of the football federation, the Spanish Football Federation, or the Football Federation. He's a president, I believe.
Yep.
He's like way up there. He has a lot of power, and this is what he did was like extraordinarily inappropriate, by the way.
The clip is so vile. It's just absolutely
horrible.
Vile.
Hermoso later reacts to the kiss during a live stream and says she did not enjoy it. The next day, Rubiales issues an apology saying he is, quote, sorry for those who were offended, after being fiercely criticized by other footballers, the media, and even by the Spanish prime minister, some of whom called on him to step down. But did he step down? No, he did not. August 24th, the World Football's governing body, FIFA, opens disciplinary proceedings to examine Rubiales' actions. And then the following day, Rubiales, in a defying manner, insists at a Royal Spanish Football Federation meeting, which is the RFEF, insists at the RFEF emergency meeting that he will not resign and calls the kiss consensual. The Spanish government says it is beginning legal proceedings seeking to suspend Rubiales. And later that day, Hermoso releases a statement on Instagram rebuffing his claim, saying that at no time was his kiss ever consensual. So just to be clear, not consensual. Repeatedly, the victim of this sexual violence has insisted that this is not a consensual kiss. Not only that, but somebody with that much power grabbing a football player and just grabbing her and kissing her on the lips. It's already just a very not okay demonstration of power. Like, even if the so-called consent, whatever, was gained, quote unquote, but the fact that she's insisting that she did not consent to this multiple times makes it very much like point blank sexual violence.
Yeah, it's an abuse of power, really, isn't it?
Yeah, a massive abuse of power.
He knows that nothing's gonna happen to him.
Right. I should also say that on that same day, 81 Spanish players, including 23 players who went to the Women's World Cup, announced that they will not play for Spain's women's team until Rubiales is removed from his position. And so I'm of the opinion that that was kind of like the spark that really, I mean, obviously there's actions happening like almost daily in this timeline that I'm describing, but I'm of the opinion that it was this collective action that really like kicked this into gear, because the next day, the Spanish Football Federation says it will take legal action against the woman who said, Hermoso, who said that she was sexually violated. They said they were going to take legal action over, quote, each falsehood that is spread. FIFA announces it's provisionally suspending Rubiales pending the outcome of its disciplinary proceedings. And World Cup winning head coach Jorge Vilda criticizes Rubiales while his entire coaching staff resigns in protest against the federation president. So we're seeing even more collective action against this scumbag. Then the following day, this is August 27th at this point, now the federation's delegate for sexual violence protocol is kicked into gear. Now they've activated it, and they're confirming that they're going to conduct an internal investigation into one of their members, the president. So I'm not really sure how this is going to go. I mean, I think we've seen 1,000,001 times police investigate themselves and find that they did nothing wrong. But I don't know, maybe there's a lot of public pressure. Like there's a lot of, as you can see, like the FIFA itself is like have made a very direct statements about how they see this scumbag as being a scumbag, when that's a pretty powerful statement. So I'm kind of hopeful that this guy's going to lose his job. But if any, beyond all this is just one scumbag in a sea of so many. What I find most significant about this is just how somebody can be sexually violated on international television and still manage to be painted as a liar and, someone who supposedly deserves legal action against her. So it's just imagine somebody who doesn't have that doesn't have the notoriety as, like, say, a football player, right? Not that she's like as powerful as this guy. She's not, but she does have a certain amount of like notoriety and like eyes on her and fans. Imagine someone who doesn't have fans going against someone with power, a man with power. Like, even a man without power, there's still patriarchy that is providing him power, right?
Yeah, and even like the fact that it was like very, like, everyone saw it. It's very visible, and like that's a 1 in a million shot to have you know, something that happens to you like that actually be recorded in front of the entire world, and like, you know, this gigantic
right
event. So
he even claims, I was reading so much about this, he even claimed that he's like, she picked me up off the ground and kissed me, and everyone's like, we saw how your feet never left the ground. What are you talking about? So this guy is just, he's trying all these angles.
I feel like that response that he said, where he's like, sorry for offending anyone, I feel like this guy is like an Elon Musk reply guy.
Yeah.
You know, like that kind of response to something like this, like, oh, I'm sorry I triggered everybody.
It's a patriarchy response.
Sexually assaulting someone.
This is, it's not even Elon Musk's response. It's a patriarchy response. This is the standard response, because men do not need to ever admit wrongdoing. They simply get to coast by just being like, whatever, sorry if you felt bad from that. And that typically is like an amazing apology from a man. So that must have been like, I'm sure he expected that to be perfectly acceptable. In fact, he probably thought that was even more than enough, more than what she deserved. So
yeah, it's like male pretense of complete ignorance in this case, like, is such an underpinning technology of keeping the patriarchy in place. Like them all just being like, oh, I don't even know what you mean. That's so confused. Why would that even be? I didn't know. Well, just like throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. Like it doesn't have to make any sense.
Jordan Peterson's thing as well, right? Where he's like, we don't know the rules anymore or whatever.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Pretending to be confused.
So Sophie, what you're referring to is the bumbling male trope. And so this trope is used by men everywhere, but it's especially like used by men in power because the disparity is so pronounced. So it's like, say some CEO is being accused of say Elon Musk, for instance. Elon Musk is a perfect example of this like bumbling male trope. He can be flailing around and make 1,000,001 mistakes, or say any of these men in power can be accused of sexual misconduct. All of a sudden, I didn't know she was 14. I didn't know that that this money was being, that in my bank account was being put in there. All of a sudden, the men that are tasked with running the world, they're supposed to be the most intelligent, most best equipped to run every family, every city, every company, every country, now are also the same people that couldn't possibly figure out that this girl was 14 the money ended up in their bank account. It's this contradiction. It's this massive hypocrisy that is like what you're describing, that like buffoon complex.
I think that's one way in which it works out into a very explicit version of itself. But I think that it's like an underpinning thing of fucking everything. Like we were watching on my stream, like Ben Shapiro losing his mind over the Barbie movie for like nearly a full hour, and most of it was him just like pretending not to understand how patriarchy works when it's very obvious that he gets it. Like, I don't know, a clear example of this would be like he talks about like the police in a scene where like Barbie is arrested. I know I'm talking about Ben Shapiro and Barbie, Jesus Christ. He talks about like Barbie getting arrested by the cops, and it's just like, like if like his wife, female relatives, whatever, like were arrested by the police, like none of what he's pretending to not get about like the dangers of like sexually aggressive police officers, like he would obviously implicitly get it and right away, which means he understands it now, and just like pretending not to get it is the whole game. And then there's like a bit that he talks about oh god, I'm really going into this. There's a bit he talks about a line where someone tells Ken, like, no, the patriarchy doesn't exist anymore. Really? No, we just pretend, like, we just got better at hiding it. And Ben has nothing to say to this, because it's like they called him on exactly the game. Like, they called him on precisely exactly what he was doing the whole time. Like, men get all of it, and they're just pretending not to. I think that's the basic technology. And I think the bumbling male is like where it's really, really obvious, right?
Mm-hmm. Anyways, we'll see what happens with this Spanish Football Federation investigation. We'll see. But just for the record, Luis Rubiales is a scumbag. This is an official ruling by the Red Planet team. We've stamped and notarized it with our stampage.
Oh, he is fired. Yep. And also, like, getting ahead of the fucking Brett Kavanaugh shit, right? Before anyone starts telling you that it's gonna like ruin his life or whatever, it's like, this guy's the president of the fucking football association. Like, it's not going to ruin shit for him.
And also, if it does, I hope it does, actually.
Yeah,
That'd be
Yes, and if it
good,
did,
actually.
Good. He assaulted a bunch of women on TV. So
And
Yeah.
if he assaulted this woman on TV, imagine how many women he has assaulted off TV, off camera. All right. So, Sophie, could you tell me what's going on with indigenous groups in Argentina?
I absolutely can. They are protesting lithium extraction, which, rare earth metal extraction in South America is one of the like hugely devastating ecological practices of imperialism. And it fucking sucks, and it's often on indigenous lands. So Jujuy is located in what has become known as the Lithium Triangle, a stretch of the Andes straddling the tri-border area between Argentina, Bolivia, and Chile, which holds the world's biggest reserves of lithium. If people don't know, lithium is very important in making, for example, batteries, for example, big batteries, for example, big batteries you might have in an electric car, for example, a Tesla. Lithium is used for all sorts of things these days, including rechargeable batteries in smartphones, laptops, and electric cars, like I just said. The problem, Argentinians are not receiving any benefits from this lithium extraction. And because lithium extraction requires huge amounts of water, 200 million liters per ton, people living off the land fear this is drying up the land and polluting the existing water. A further problem is indigenous groups living on lithium-rich land are now facing eviction under Governor Morales' constitutional reforms, which limits rights to protest. Right now, indigenous communities are blocking roads to lithium mines and are being assaulted by police deployed to remove them. One spokesperson said, "We are not moving. The land is ours. The lithium belongs to us." So full support and solidarity to the indigenous people in Argentina. And as ever, fuck imperialist extraction and ecocide. That's what's going on in Argentina. Thanks for asking.
No problem.
Before we get to our main topic today, Mule, how can people support the show?
Whoa, Sophie, that's a great question. And the answer to that is we have a Patreon. Whoa, oh my goodness.
Whoa.
There are loads and loads. There are loads and loads of different tiers and benefits and all that stuff.
All of this is made possible by your support. So please check out the Patreon. Mule, what's the link?
You can get us at Patreon on www.patreon.com/red_planet.
Nice stall. HTTP.
There's obviously the four of us hosts, and there's Conrad behind the scenes making everything a lot better than it's been. Before he was here, we treasure him. He is the most precious boy, and we give him only the finest gruel and slop. But we'd like to also be able to hire an editor so we can produce more shareable clips and create all new content. This might even relate to what I'm doing next week. Who knows? So yeah, please check out Patreon if you want to support us and help expand the operation and help us do better stuff.
Hell
Right.
yeah. We love better stuff.
If you don't want to help us do better stuff, then don't visit the Patreon.
If you don't want to help us do better stuff, and if you want to stop us even, it would really like own us in the marketplace of ideas if you supported us on Patreon, like ironically.
Yeah.
If you pay
especially
us
at the
all
highest
$1 million each, we will all retire. That would stop us. That would stop me so hard. I would be so
I would hate
owned.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to the main topic. It has been a minute since we looked at the internet security issues and got an update from the world of cyber crimes, but the hackers out there have not been idle. It's time for an update on online fascists, corporate and state cybersecurity, and something called Stalkerware. That's right, everyone. Everybody's favorite hacker cat is back. Bingle is joining us this week, and it brought Maia crimew along with it. Everybody put on your headsets now and welcome Bingle and Maia.
Oh, how's it going?
Oh.
Hey.
Okay, I can't. I've done it, but I don't.
Okay, for the podcast listeners, Sophie has just entered the matrix.
No, I'm seeing Bingle now, actually.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Whoa, Bingle got so big. Oh, Maya's here. Fantastic.
Yeah, hi. and also, look, I made sure to bring Bingle as well because
Thank you.
it
Very
was mentioned
important.
in the announcement, so I was like, I have to.
Hey, Maia, how's it going?
Hi, yeah, I'm good. Oh God, this is the first time I'm in a Zoom call with open back headphones. This is horrifying.
We've just been doing the news, but there's actually a secret extra news story I've held on to specifically for your arrival. All of the tabloids and the papers here in the UK are kind of currently going crazy about this. Met Police IT security breach could do, quote, incalculable damage in the wrong hands. And I was wondering if you've heard anything about this.
No, I have not, but I hope this will get into my hands soon, which I'm sure are not the wrong hands.
So the Metropolitan Police is on high alert following a significant security breach that led to officers and staff's details being hacked. All 47,000 personnel of the London Met Police, who, side note, are scum, have been notified about the potential exposure of their photographs, names, and ranks.
Yeah, this is like what happened in the US a while ago. I forgot which city it was. It might have been Seattle or something, where like where someone just found a website to scrape all of the pictures of cops from, and they were like, no, this is horrible for public safety. We don't have undercover cops anymore. Exposing cop credentials is always cool because especially like with things like the Met, because you just expose every single undercover cop ever.
I feel like everywhere in like England right now, there's like a bunch of dudes meeting, like out the back of their legitimate businesses around, like one of their nephews with a laptop just scrolling through like photos and photos of dudes.
Oh
and,
shit, that looks like Kevin.
I mean, like, like, hey Bonnie, that's your photo.
Oh no, that just looks like me.
So
that's a thing that the conservative media is extremely worried about, and I'm not personally losing any sleep over. But I thought you might be somewhere between entertained and intrigued by this story.
No, I'm interested, and I haven't heard of this yet. But I'm glad that that there's more and more leaks of like cop details at this point.
Yeah,
because
Yeah, I mean, it's the police are supposed to be fucking accountable, and then they're like,
obviously.
What? They can't know who isn't a cop. That's not
think
allowed.
I think it's funny that the reaction is always not even like being like, oh no, this is bad because of security, but it's always like, it's bad that people know who the cops are.
Right.
And it kind of says a lot about how they view themselves.
Do you think that they are like, some cops are just pretending to not be cops, and they have like their home life in like a different city, and their friends are like, what do you do for a living? And they're like, oh, I just work at IKEA.
Policing from outside communities is like a huge thing. Like they do that like a lot of the time. You'll get police that will be like, because like historically, like it was like a lot of communities would be kind of self-governing or whatever like that, but then like with like kind of the like it would kind of the way the police is set up now, they've discovered that it's beneficial for them to have police doing the beat in communities that they're not actively a part of, because then they empathize less with the people there,
awesome.
Which is like hell yeah, sick. That sounds great. But and there's like, even you get a lot of places in the States where it's like there are specific areas where, if you're a cop for a little while, they'll be like, hey buddy, there's a house coming up down here, like move into our street or whatever, and it's like a neighborhood full of cops because they like moved there to
right.
It's like get out of their own jurisdiction or whatever.
It's like the concept of like the secure wing in prison if cops go to prison to protect them, but like in just in society.
Yeah, totally. But so that's like definitely a thing, like the idea of like police kind of like not not being police in their own neighborhoods or whatever.
Well then, okay, well, you didn't know about that, but now you do, so I've updated you on that. You've been updating your blog a bunch, and I've been keeping up with one or two things. There is like a pretty full saga of articles that you've mainly come on to tell us about to do with Stalkerware, which I admit to have not not having read any of, but I have read a few of them, and I want to chat to you about a bit about some of them. So speaking of people who would rather not have you know who they are, you exposed you reported on rather some people being exposed on Mastodon, a Nazi shitposting server.
Yes,
and there were a lot of like big tech employees in this. This is an article called "Meet the Shitposters" with a POASTER. the Nazis made an oopsie. Yeah, do you want to tell us a bit about this?
Right. Yeah. This has been like a kind of long going saga, where like I think it was originally in May when Post and Based, both with AE. So it's Post and Based, but both horrible name, obviously, and it's very transparently Nazi shit, you know.
Yeah.
Like obviously, then with the thing of like, no, we're just posters, you know.
It's
just post. It's just trolling. Anyways, yeah. So they got.
And then you post their profile picture upside down in their replies, and they're like, "What the fuck?" And you're like, "I'm just posting."
Yeah. But yeah, like they've been like harassing people on the Fediverse for years now, also via like being on other sites. They're closely affiliated with like Kiwi Farms and Kiwi Farms instances, which was also clear in the response to this happening, which I will get into in a bit. Yeah, basically in May they got hacked, or well, the person running the site got hacked via vulnerability in his own site. So they stole the admin credentials of like the guy running it, and via that, like dumped all the information on all the users. So like all DMs, all like the email, like the email address and associated with the accounts, and all posts and everything was like scraped and downloaded, right, and then made available to like various like anti-fascist research collectives and also like the public. And like a few months later, like I got a message from like someone offering me a thing, and they were like, "Hey, look, here's the funny file. Like look at it and feel free to publish it and whatever."
And you were thinking, "Shit, I'm getting rickrolled again. It's 2023 and they're still doing."
Yeah, and it's just like, I just got a single HTML file which corroborates like the email addresses from those users with LinkedIn profiles from the LinkedIn hack in 2020, where all of FYI, in 2020, LinkedIn got hacked, and and your information on LinkedIn is not public, but like people in the scene have your data. Just as another little funny side note, and well, they basically just took the two databases and combined them, and like, just associated email addresses to the user accounts, right, went through for like some like quick check of things that definitely were wrong, and people just entering a random email address on Post or random email address on LinkedIn. But yeah, what came out was like numerous users, some of which is associated with like the most horrible posts imaginable, who were like working at big tech companies, were like working in schools, were like running their own businesses, everything. But it's just I was then also told in a private conversation with my source that one of the main points of this is trying to show how easily you can automate doxing from like dumps like this, because you can't just join it together with like the LinkedIn data, and you get like basically the entire docs for free, like with very little work. You just need to then check it and make sure it's like it looks okay. And then the whole thing was like, there were obviously like, even after the first checking and after publishing, there were some false positives. Like one of the people I talked about in my blog post specifically, and that most of the secondary reporting talked about, was like some professor. It then turned out that it was just some random person impersonating that professor. So yeah, some random Nazi was impersonating a 70-year-old professor online for like no reason. It's like, on the one hand, Nazis are really bad at OPSEC, and on the other hand, the ones that are okay at it are like really insane about it. Like, they're not even just making up fake people. They're just like, And then
what's the whole deal with that? Like, why were they doing that?
I don't know.
Just shit posting stuff.
Probably, yeah.
Right.
And I mean, then there's also like the other one where it was like this one guy who like runs a community council or something, and we were like, no, this doesn't seem quite right. And some people got mad at me for that, because like, oh, why would an old guy with a wife and kids insult post? Which it turned out it wasn't him, but also on the other hand, have you seen right-wingers online? Like, they post like that. But it turned out that that was his son, who presumably helped him set up his LinkedIn at one point. So yeah, great stuff going on there. Like, at least in that case, the doc still wasn't too far off. But yeah, there's obviously always a risk, especially when you do somewhat automate your like pipeline for identifying people that some things are going to go wrong, which is why I'm just bringing this up, because I think it's important to also like note that and like, yeah, there were personal apologies were sent to both of those people by the source and by the journalists and me. So yeah, just to address that somewhere at least. But
go on, sorry.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just always like gross to see this stuff, and I like, at least this way it's like kind of condensed and you don't need to manually like go through everything. But it's still just gross to see like the type of people who post shit, like, because like I know like it's very obvious, yes, these are just normal people you walk past on the street every other day and whatnot. But just like being reminded of that, it's just so weird. And then there's like people who are like working in the fucking Marine Corps. Of course there's like US military guys in here, like but it's still, I don't know, it's just shit you don't want to see. And like all the guys who work in business, there's so many business majors who are weird Nazis. I mean, like, it makes sense, it's business majors, but like yeah.
Yeah, 100%. We have actually also just heard from someone else in the chat that recently there's been a huge load of backlash. This is related to what we were talking about before about the police, the Met Police breach of data, but basically the Met Police version of the Northern Ireland Police. So the Northern Ireland version of the Met Police, but they're like much worse, and they, you know, took part in like a lot of the oppression of, you know, Irish Republicans and stuff in Northern Ireland. The PSNI did a huge data breach and shared 10,000 details of it. Oh, sorry, details about 10,000 of its employees on Tuesday. So, yeah, it's
yeah, they accidentally posted their own details online.
Yeah.
So
we're just seeing more and more of this.
That is always like the funniest shit. It's like accidentally self-publishing shit, because they can't even really do anything about sharing it, because it's like, no, you did this.
Yeah. I love it when it's like followed up with like, you know, like them like fumbling to like get rid of it or whatever, or like making something up, like, oh, you know, we've been hacked or something like that. It's like, okay, no.
Yeah,
okay,
like
so
that's especially the favorite excuse for when people accidentally post racist shit on whatever brand account they're on.
Absolutely.
And then it's just like, no, we got hacked, or like, this was our low-level employee and definitely not the CEO or whatever.
I thought it was Google. I was just doing research.
Yeah. When someone accidentally like, you know, types something into like a tweet or whatever, you know, like they don't realize they're tweeting it out, and it's like, you know, someone like some politician searching, like,
then when they're trying to,
you know, flopping out, and they're like, oh shit, delete, I was hacked.
Didn't Israel do something like that, where then there was like a photo of like a young girl, or like a pretty young, I don't know, woman from the IDF or something, and like it was very much not supposed to be posted on like the official Israel Israel Twitter. Oh man, I need to pull it up to see exactly what went down.
Well, since we mentioned the Met before, there has been a lot of revelations recently about like, and I don't know the full details of how it got exposed, but like Met officers having groups where they're just sharing like crime scene photos with each other, like to just like, I guess, enjoy in whatever sense. It's like really grim stuff.
Super fucked up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They've had loads of stuff like that where they've like literally taken pictures of like, I think the story I'm thinking of, it was like a dead black woman, and they just like took it, like taking selfies with her and shit. It's
I remember that one from ages ago. But this was like, there was a full group chat of. But this is not. I had specific stuff I was going to ask Maya about. So the shit posters being exposed gave me a little laugho, because always Nazis getting exposed is funny to me. But your kick.com breakdown of what was sent to you, genuinely so entertaining. I sent it to like 5 people, and I was like, you have to read this. It's really funny.
I agree. I read
if
it.
If you don't understand it on a technical level, like get someone to explain it, because it's funny as hell.
We need to
how bad the security is.
We need to finally write the follow-up to that because it gets funnier. But I will not talk about this yet because there's lots of shit that still needs to be done for this. But if anyone from the Kick security team, which definitely exists, is in chat right now, please disregard this. You are not about to get owned even harder. Don't worry about it.
Yes, the existing security at Kick is definitely also a communist, and they're definitely also viewers. So yeah,
Kira, when I brought this up, you have some familiarity with what Kick is. So could you tell anyone in chat who doesn't know first, and then Maia can tell us about their non-existent security?
So Kick, the reason I became familiar with Kick is I was watching a streamer that said, I'm about to like go over to Kick now and follow me to Kick. And I was like, what is this Kick site? I'm always like the last person to hear about stuff. So I'm very used to not knowing what it is. So I went over, I was like, oh, it's a streaming site. There seems to be a lot of people using it. And so I made an account just to save my name, just in case. I thought it was like another legitimate site. No, it's not. So apparently there are some streamers from Twitch, is my understanding, some streamers from Twitch, one in particular, who wanted to like peddle gambling to children. And Twitch was like, you can't peddle gambling to children, actually. And
rare Twitch dub.
right. Yeah. So they decided to create another site with, I guess, being sponsored by like these gambling sites or something. Yeah. And so now they have like a Twitch dupe where
I'm 100% sure they copy pasted shit from the Twitch leak from 2022. But
it looks they even have
2021.
They even have like the hot tubs, beaches, and pools or whatever it's called, like the literal category. So like they really, it seems like you're right. Like they haven't put any thought into like creating an actual site that's actually unique. It just looks like a ripoff completely of Twitch.
Well, what's really funny about that is that, so I don't know much about website or broadcasting engineering or anything like that, but surely if you're just going to like copy and paste code from Twitch to like another website, like you're forgetting the fact that this other website that you're copying from has like servers and servers and servers of data and all sorts of people working on it and stuff.
Yeah, so a few things. Kick is not only like sponsored by gambling sites. Kick is owned by the biggest online gambling business to exist, which is stake.com. It's a crypto casino, which was made by people who are originally from the CS:GO gambling scene, in case you need to make it even worse. But it's like they literally own a Formula One team. Like that's the level of money they have. The thing is, most streamers on Kick who do gambling content on stake because, well, yeah, but basically it's just the funnel for kids into their own like business. So it's already shady as hell in that way. Today I got an email. That's one thing I can tell about Kick besides this. I got an email from someone who was like, okay, I'm curious to see how GDPR compliant they really are. And basically, if you explicitly email Kick about wanting all your account data and deleting your account under GDPR rights, they tell you that currently they cannot do this. This is currently technically not possible for them. Which, if anyone here works for a data protection office for any country, just know that that Kick is very willingly and knowingly ignoring the existence of GDPR. So if you need some money for your government funds, that's where you can get some for free if you're a European government. They just very explicitly say this is technically not possible right now. We can, however, delete the account for you if you email them about it, which is already not GDPR compliant, but they do not currently have a way to give you your data. Then the other thing is, okay, doing live streaming is hard because it requires lots of server and lots of infrastructure. And well, there's this cool company that Kick is hosting all their shit on. It's called Amazon Web Services. It's owned by Amazon, which reminder, you might know who Twitch is owned by. Oh, right, that's also Amazon. So Amazon has this cool platform that is usable to make live streaming easy to many people. and stuff. Well, it just so happens that is a part of the reason they bought Twitch for. Basically, Kick streaming works over the exact same platform as Twitch. It is being streamed over the exact same servers as Twitch. So this is not in like any technological sense an alternative to Twitch. It's an alternative to Twitch in the sense of they pay streamers really well if you have a contract with them. And also you're allowed to be racist and do gambling. So really, I mean by you're allowed to do shit you couldn't on Twitch. I mean, they have a contract with Aiden Ross, and you probably know who that is. So yeah, he has an exclusive contract for streaming on Kick now. So yeah,
and of course they're not going to be offering any contracts to anyone under 500, probably not even under 1,000 CCV.
Yeah, but yeah, also, yeah, they do not fucking give a shit about security. So yeah, I was sent like a write-up from a like small group who was working on looking into Kick. They were originally going to report these things to Kick, but it turned out that's not possible. You cannot even report vulnerabilities to Twitch. After I published this blog post, I was also informed that someone reported all of these issues to Kick 6 months ago. They had 6 months to fix this.
Jesus.
Also, for further context, most of this shit hasn't been fixed yet. I published this blog post at the start of this month. This has been public and in like a big... This is like one of my most popular blog posts ever. Like this has been read by like hundreds of thousands of people. They've not fixed half of
5
shit.
times.
Yeah.
I can imagine there's like some like tech guy that works for them that is like, like Greg from Succession, and every day he's like coming up and just getting, he's like coming up to Tom every day and he's like, we need to have that meeting, and he's just like, not now, Greg.
Yeah, and they did actually publicly respond to this by replying to all the viral tweets about this by saying that actually you can report vulnerabilities to them, and they definitely have a security team and a private bug bounty program. They do not have a private bug bounty. Like, I've known people who have tried to report vulnerabilities to them. They are just like, yeah, just tell me, Mr. Support Guy, please, about this highly sensitive security. Like, it's just like, that's not how that works. Yeah. But anyways, vulnerabilities. Let's get into this. So like the main cool one is that if you're in a channel you are like modin or admin in, you can fabricate any message you want as a pinned message. You can make it so like XQC said in your chat that everyone should buy your merch as a pinned message. That's easy. You can just do that.
It's something that XQC would say about our merch. Anyway.
Yes, yeah. Like if
he was
saying that.
The juicers love Red Planet. They love it.
Yeah. That is like a thing. They somewhat fixed that in the sense of it now only works without refreshing. So while you're currently watching a stream, if they fake a pinned message, it stays pinned until you refresh your browser, which means if you have a lot of viewers, all of those viewers are going to see the fake message until they refresh, which obviously means this is fixed now. Because why actually fix it? Anyways, this is also how now we, thanks to my blog post, finally have proof that that Ninja, as in Tyler Ninja Blevins from Fortnite, meows and Kick chats all the time, especially mine with 0 viewers. Yeah, and then there's the other option where you can make up fake messages as replies to messages. So I also then reply to Ninja, of course, as you can then also see. In which case you can also just make up messages that don't exist to reply to. Yeah. And then there's like other just more technical vulnerabilities, which are all like the most basic shit. Yeah. And you can upload random files. Like the write-up I based this blog post on was hosted on the Kick's CDN, as in where they host the profile pictures and stuff. There was an HTML document on there where I read the write-up. Also, their entire CDN, like where they host all of their profile pictures and everything, was and still is entirely publicly readable. So
Files.kick.com, right?
Yes, using AWS CLI, you can download all of their files. I downloaded about 300 gigabytes of them, which cost them a lot of money. But I deleted it by now because they aren't fixing it, so I can just get it again if I ever want it. So yeah. It's also important to know that Kick has a full-time development team. They originally were developed by the developers of Stake, like as in the gambling side. And now they have their own team, but they share an office somewhere, probably overseas. But yeah.
I just can't believe that they have a development team with all this stuff going on. It's just
it's just like it's one of those businesses where it really shows that all you need to do to be successful in business is like make the money part. The rest doesn't really matter. Like as long as you can pay the influencers to bring you like customers, it's all good.
Yeah, them smart free market investment ideas. Like
given how easy it is to get all their files and how easy it is to fake messages and even put files on their servers, if I was one of these like free speech concerned influencers who's moved off Twitch to go over there so you can say the N-word, like I would not want to keep on using Kick. I'd feel like a lot of stuff was in danger.
Yeah, but I'm not just you just noticed what I'm drinking. It's worse. I'm not just drinking Iron Brew. I'm drinking Iron Brew energy drink, which is apparently a thing that exists.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
It's still amazing. Like I'm just incredible. I'm so shocked that you've got that in Switzerland. That's absolutely incredible. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's just funny to me how like just how bad it is, and also how like their most #1 fans, which is obviously just random chats with 5 followers on Twitter, are just defending them. They're just like, no, this is just there's the fun. I need to find the funniest tweets ever.
Defending the website.
There was one. Yeah,
it's incredible to defend them when they're just making an objectively bad and dangerous move. Like the things you like about them are under threat by their own like stupidity and laziness. That's not worth defending, you know?
Yeah.
Let me guess. It's a small startup, early access development, something.
No, the person said it was based on my experience as a C-level in C-level cybersecurity. I can tell you this is a good tweet, which is the funniest sentence anyone has ever written. I need to find that screenshot again.
Is there such thing as a C-level cybersecurity?
Yes, but yes, I found the exact wording again. My C-suite cyber strategy experience tells me this is a good tweet. I read it once today on stream, actually. I'm not worried. Stream on, win big. Thank you, Rival.
Wow. Is that like a Kick thing, or did they just invent that for the tweet?
They just invented that for their reply to Kick support. Which, yes, to rephrase again, like I said, they addressed this in a tweet, which is them twice making basically the same tweet, which just says, we have dedicated researchers who assist in improving site security. They definitely do not, because this is all the most basic shit you find in 5 minutes. If they do, poor souls. We actively receive reports relating to security on the site and have a private, but you definitely receive reports. I don't think you're doing anything with them, but yeah.
The Greg from Succession who works at Kick is definitely a real guy, Tim. You're spot on. I can picture him more and more clearly all the time. Like he's just he's had more energy drinks than me today. He's every bit of his body is like shaking.
I'm just always such a big fan of the communication strategy of lying on twitter.com. It's just like, and it's always so blatant. It's never like in a way where you could be like, oh yeah, no, like they just think that, or it appears like that to them. No, it's just always like, yeah, no, we are ignoring this issue completely and we are now lying to you, so our most loyal fans will defend us and call people like random slurs in the replies. This is our communication strategy.
I think I'm developing a full Greg trutherism right now. I think Greg, like Kick Greg, has probably fixed all of the cybersecurity issues, but like they won't merge the fork. Like he's got it like ready to go, and they just don't know how to merge it into the live version.
Yeah, and I do keep quoting that based on my experience, this is a good tweet line, because it's just the most sucking up to authority line you could ever say.
Yeah, it's like, what do you get out of this?
Well, okay, so Kick is going to the moon. That's great.
Yeah, they're going somewhere. I also like how I made 2 updates to the article. The first one being, oh, it seems that they have fixed this. Second update, we checked it again. They didn't fix shit.
That was great. That made me laugh a lot. Okay, we've done shit posters, we've done Kick. We covered this one a little bit in Red Planet News a few weeks ago, but now you're actually here in real person online. So may as well talk about the emails that the 2,600 pages of hate, and there is actually more. There was an update article as well. But do you want to tell us about what this is?
Right. This is something I haven't talked about in voice ever, I think, because like, yeah, I mostly defer to from the fact that like I did just publish this. Like I try to not read too many of the emails myself. I'm not an extremism researcher. I'm not good at handling that trauma. But yes, it is leaked emails from which were released by a detransitioner, now retransitioned, who was like basically used as like an asset by basically all of the anti-trans lobby in the US since like 2017 or 2019, right? And has now upon like figuring out shit again and retransitioning and like finding herself again, has now decided to like go to the press with like all the emails, with all the inside info. Yeah, and it's really fucked up. There is just like, it's just a single thread, a single or email thread, more or less, which goes from like 2019 all the way to this year, which shows that all of the anti-trans laws in the US are connected, that they are sending people across the US as like expert witnesses in like random lawsuits. Yeah, and just like the language with which they talk about even the detransitioners on their side, with even like parents on their side, where they're just explicitly just a useful tool. And it's like, I think that's the thing that fucked me up the most. It's not even just like the obviously the hate and stuff, but they're just so blatant about all of it. It's just so extremely mask off. Yeah, I don't know. It's fucked up. I'm glad that we have these files now. I'm glad that we have the proof of the thing we always knew. Yeah.
I guess that's it though, isn't it? It's the proof of the thing we always knew, like you say. Like, it's so obvious that none of the stuff is based in any science, and just having it, I guess, in writing, you know, that's it's a good thing. But yeah, it's just, I guess, how much of that can we now use to make a difference, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's back to Kira's thing earlier about like the liberal slogan of light is the best disinfectant thing. It's like, well, it's all out here, and it's been out here for a little while.
Yeah. I do think the crazy thing about this is how I feel like a lot of this is more usable outside of the US, because it very clearly shows these two leaks, as well as like the ADF leak, which came like within the same month, where like from the Alliance Defending Freedom, like an entire Google Drive leaked, which I did also dig into at some point. That decided not to also write about it. But yeah, which just all shows that they not only orchestrated this shit inside the US, but they orchestrate this shit in the UK. They orchestrate this shit in random nations which currently do not have trans legislations, in countries which currently have good legislation, where they go there and are like, yes, we are the experts from the US and we are going to now fix your laws. And it's just not only just fucked up on its own, but it's also just the most neo-imperialist bullshit I have ever read. And how they just so openly talk about lobbying worldwide, which that's just crazy. And also how open they are, like at least internally, about all their monetary ties. Like they will just talk about how they are getting money from the Heritage Foundation, how they're getting money from there. Like there's like 15 orgs here, and basically they're the same people are like across all of them, and the money is the same anyways. And it's just, they're so bad at running the secret network conspiracy thing. Like, I know it's not funny as a like whole thing, and we can't be glad that they're so bad at running this, but like this is just like a bunch of boomers trying to run a conspiracy, and it's just like so openly like connected and bad, and it's like
accidentally screenshotting my Zoom call to the Illuminati and posting it to Twitter.
Yeah, no, like they record their meetings. They just have recordings of their entire meetings for the like Alliance Defending Freedom, like Google Drive thing. There were just multiple documents in there with all of their passwords for all of their accounts, most of which just worked. Like I at one point had access to like like the site on which they publish their academic research. So like, yeah, it's just.
And it was it reminds me of when Kelly G, whatever, Posey Parker came over to Australia and New Zealand and like made this big show of being like, oh, we're funded, you know, exclusively by donations. You know, like they tried to say that there was like a local Maori women's group had like paid for them to come over or whatever, and then they were like on a live stream like that night being like, CPAC paid for all of this and all this shit like that. Yeah, it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, and then they like deny it. It's like,
yeah. Also, I would like to note that for the ADF thing where their Google Drive leaked. So the reason this leaked is because it wasn't even just the request access type deal. And it wasn't like a sub part of that. No, just the entire internal structure of this like exclusive hate club. They just had a public link to it. You just had there was just a public link hidden on a site somewhere, and someone eventually randomly stumbled upon it, and it was just like the trove of documents of them internally organizing their hate. And it's just like you just needed to click one link and then click the download all button, and then you had like all the secret internal documents of the anti-trans conspiracy. And it feels so it's like if you put this in a movie, you'd like everyone would be like, yeah, no, this is not like realistic, this is stupid, this is not how you this is not how you
in the movie, rather than just clicking a link, you would have to go like,
yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah, no, in the
I'm getting their details.
Yeah.
I have the recordings of all their meetings. Damn, Maya, you're the best. This is why we pay you so much. I have all their email passwords. I can keep going.
Yeah, it's just I'm pretty sure there was even like the password for their PayPal and shit. Like I'm pretty sure I could like it's just
That's
like
absurd.
Not just that,
That's
because
ridiculous.
like yeah, PayPal has like the two-factor authentication thing right via email, but well, of course their email password was also there. So.
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, it just goes back to what you were saying earlier about like Nazis being the worst at OPSEC, right? Like they just have no concept of this whatsoever. Because, you know, while the people doing this stuff may not be, you know, mid-20s, mid-30s kind of edgelords on the internet or whatever, but you know they still have the same ideology. It's just so absurd. And I think again, you can link that to you know, just it's knowing that you have the power and abusing it, right? It's like, well, you know, no one cares about trans people, so I'm just gonna do this and it'll be fine, right? I'll get away with it. Yeah.
I mean, the fucked up thing still is that, like, so far there's been, like, zero consequences for any of these people anyway. Like, yeah. Not there's, I mean, obviously, like, but that's still always the disheartening thing. The thing I find interesting is, like, the two articles about the emails do keep getting more views again. And I've been seeing, like, people actually, like, when are now linking to this when, like, in stupid online debates, they for some reason engage in like r/politics or whatever. But when someone is like, yeah, okay, show me the data of this happening, they're just like, okay, here is the data showing this happening. And it does sometimes actually, like, somewhat sway people's opinion to be presented with, like, very overwhelming proof of, like, this happening, when it's like, yeah, no, like I'm kind of glad that it's at least on this small personal level this is helping with, like, showing some people that, yeah, maybe I am just believing this weird, like, thing that's clearly here just to, like, I don't know, like
when you put it like that, it is kind of weird.
Like it's so very clearly just the next orchestra. I think the most fucked up thing is also seeing the amount of women in all of these orgs when they are just working for the anti-feminism factory. Like before the anti-trans thing, this was the anti-feminism factory, and then that eventually stopped working. So we're now the next stepping stone to fascism. It's like.
Yeah, and it's not even that abortion is next. Like, abortion is fucking, like, Roe v. Wade was overturned, and it's the same fucking people, and, like...
Yes.
Did y'all hear about I'm sure you heard about it, the chess... where...
Yeah.
The chess competition where it was, like, what was the deal? They banned the trans woman for having it because she was competing in the women's league because they said that she's a trans woman, therefore she has an advantage over cis women.
No. They've banned all trans women.
Sorry, all trans women. It's just, so you're just saying that like
women are stupid. It's
always
like
something about having like something about penises makes you like really good at logic or something.
And there was like another thing about trans men. I was reading this and I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's just, you know, whenever trans men are brought into the conversation, you know, by these guys, they always say something so completely absurd as well. It's like, what exactly is going on? Like, they just have no clue as to, you know, anything about trans people whatsoever, and it is all just misogyny. It's just all misogyny.
You'll see people trying to insist that like chromosomes are proof that you can absolutely never truly change sex, or you have Richard Dawkins published a really long thing in the New Statesman about gametes. But it's like a lot of their shit comes down to believing that like testosterone is everything, and furthermore believing that trans women, like, testosterone will somehow linger in trans women no matter how long have transitioned for. But trans men, like, the testosterone, like their transition is real, right? And so it's like trans men get all the advantages of testosterone, but also so do trans women, and it's only cis women who are the like vulnerable group. And like I don't know, I've been pondering over the kind of nature of like why there are so many women in this thing, like why this is successfully won over like women to be class traitors on behalf of the patriarchy recently. I think that like a lot of it comes down to like feminism in the imperial core getting co-opted into like a bourgeois feminism, like entirely. And like people have pointed out for a long time that like the feminism that TERFs have is like white feminism, it's middle class feminism, as well as trans exclusionary. It's also sex worker exclusionary, but it's like it's bourgeois, and then they don't want it to like, they just don't want equality and freedom from the patriarchy for all. They want it just for them, and they explicitly want to keep anyone else from getting it.
Yeah, there's a thing that I've noticed with a lot of Maori women that get sucked into like trans movements and stuff, where they start like advocating against Maori interests, you know, where it's like this thing where they get sucked into it and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, it's wild to watch. And it's like, you know, like they, you know, like completely at odds with their own, like, you know, like lived reality kind of like experience or whatever like that. You see them like advocating for like the most like ridiculous shit that you can imagine. And then it's just like, wow, it was like you got in through the TERF shit, and now you just like, now you're just fully deranged.
It is a pipeline, like, because like it is kind of crazy to watch like how far people drift off, because like even just a few like years ago, like a lot of like the TERF space and stuff, it was actually still like outside of the TERF shit, often still somewhat like a leftist group of people, not like leftist, but like left-leaning. And now they're all just like they are just explicitly collaborating with Nazis. They do not fucking give a shit about collaborating with Nazis, even on other issues. And it's just like, there is the whole, I mean, that's the point at the end of it, especially of like this whole conspiracy, is that it is supposed to be a stepping stone to just a conservative right-wing fascist state.
I mean, not to be too like left Red Planet's the only good one or whatever, but like I think a lot of this has to do with the collapse of the imperial core, and like people being implicitly aware of how much like the imperial core is not going to be able to hold the power structure that it has, and a lot of people just trying to grab up like whatever glimpse of like protection they think they can get before their shit is completely composted and dumpstered by the inevitable collapse of American imperialism.
I mean, Red Planet is the best one.
I mean, it is the best one. I just wanted to like, it's just like we're not seeing like, you know, like left-leaning people who are then just like completely, you know, co-opted into siding with Nazis, or you know, people who think they are left-wing, who are like left-wing influencers who end up siding with Nazis, or any of this stuff. It's like they're ultimately the big thing they're falling for is a chauvinism of the imperial core, and they don't have the language to understand or describe that. I'm not sure that they would choose the right side if they could describe it properly, but like that is the thing they're falling for. Anyway, Maia, what is Stalkerware?
All right, so now let's get into the horrible world of Stalkerware. I do want to actually preface this with a content warning. This will be this section will be about like abuse, about controlling behavior, especially parental abuse, and like just controlling behavior also in relationships. And I will talk about some of that in some details. And
appreciate it.
Cool, because right, Stalkerware. It's a type of spyware. It's commercially available spyware. How wonderful the world of today is. Which mostly the idea is this is a thing you put on your child's device, so you can see what they're up to. It's like Life 360, though, like, but hidden, so it's not visible. Like, you can do this without consent, which obviously it always says that you are legally required to get consent to install this hidden spyware, which. Yeah, legal disclaimers. We love them. But basically, like, also just for clarification, when I will talk about software such as Life 360, which is the like more socially accepted shit, I will also get into why that's still bad. I refer to that as watchware because it's a visible thing. It's still in the same category as Stalkerware, but Stalkerware is explicitly commercially available spyware which hides itself in some way or another or disguises itself. And yeah, basically the marketing of it usually for the most of the bigger softwares is like, this is the best like child tracker to keep your child safe from bullying and from other things. And then some of them have this cool statistic of we have prevented 980 bullying cases, which however they are tracking that. There is even one that just says they have prevented 3 school shootings. And I'm like, how? Can you show me where you got that data from?
That is fucking astonishing.
Yes, and it's a lot of it is like, it's just the best phone tracker for parental control, and it's always about worrying less. And like, I just want to preface this with, if you are a parent and you are using a tracker on your child, you are failing at parenting, because you are not you're trying to solve an interpersonal issue with technology, and like, I'm a technology person, and I'm going to tell you that doesn't work. You cannot patch away social stuff with technology. And you're not going to get more trust from a child by just spying on them.
Can you fucking imagine if you found out that like your parent had put something like that on your phone?
Yes.
That would be the fucking end of it. That would be the fucking end of it.
Yes, because like the basic idea is, my child doesn't tell me they are in trouble at school. What is the solution? Do I gain the trust of my child? Do I spy on my child in a hidden way and make sure I know every single step they take, every message they send online, every picture they take? Which of these options will make your child actually be better and be safer and do better? Obviously, you spy on them. No,
that's the only solution, obviously.
Yeah,
and that's assuming that this software. Oh, sorry, that's assuming the software is only used for children.
Yes,
as well.
I'm about to get into that right now. This software originally, because for the longest while, like the people researching software like this were mostly okay with it being used on children. I love the infosec industry. But like. Originally, this was mostly referred to as spouseware because this is also used in relationships by controlling partners who like think their partner is like cheating on them. Some of these softwares very explicitly advertise as that with catch a cheating partner, whatever. That's the other use of this, which is fairly prevalent, which both of these are equally bad. I'm just going to say that you do not have do not have more agency over your child than you have over your partner. These are both equally bad. Just because I want that opinion of mine to be very clear, but also the fact that you can't just blatantly advertise your software for not that I expect anyone
child liberation is absolutely
yes
essential. Children are one of the most oppressed groups in no, I'm just co-signing. I'm not trying to I fully agree from the Red Planet team.
Cool. Same.
And like the other problem that then obviously comes with this is already the fact that commercially available spyware is a thing. You can just pay a little subscription fee and spy on half the people in your life. It's great. It's very normal behavior. So since for a few years now, these have continuously been hacked, mostly by hacktivists, mostly to expose them, mostly to get these companies shut down. One of them actually just recently got fucked over in court, partially because they got hacked originally in 2020 and then even more again. There's very little journalism happening on these providers as well. Shout out and this place to Zach Whitaker from TechCrunch, who has been working in this area since at least 2020, when I first worked with him on a Stalkerware story, when I first hacked the Stalkerware software. But yeah, basically, right. Then the premise is I'm trying to do a series called #fuck Stalkerware, where the goal is that we are just going to slowly like fuck over this industry. We're going to hack every single provider. I'm actively like trying to get people to send me data, trying to get people to send me intel, trying to get insider info. If anyone from the industry wants to talk to me, I will grant them anonymity under the like principle that they talk, like that they do actually talk to me. Like I am willing to engage in actual journalism because I'm very interested in how this industry works on the inside, of course. And well, yeah, since this series started in June, 3 of these have been hacked. This all started with like the first thing that was like sent to me like a few days after starting the series, which was Let Me Spy, which is a Polish company, which after this hack has now like a week or 2 ago shut down because well, the person who hacked them, among other things, deleted all the data. So
incredibly based.
Yes. A thing I usually refrain from because it can like escalate situations in homes where this stuff is being used. So I'm generally like, I try to not interact with the data besides copying it and sending it to journalists. But yes, that's where it kind of starts. I try to go over all of these. I try to go look into like the statistics. I especially also always find it very interesting in the lists of email addresses to search for .gov because one thing you will keep finding is like random police officers who probably spy on their children. You will find US correctional facility officers who are probably using this for parole monitoring, which this is not the software you're supposed to use for that. But it's always interesting when commercial spyware that is very insecure is being used for government jobs. For one of the softwares, I'm pretty sure that it was at least evaluated by the Colombian National Police because like 5 people from there signed up and then didn't really use it. So
I do want to stress that we've just had a chatter who said that yes, we should spy on children with Stalkerware, and then claiming it is impossible to explain to people who don't have kids how kids are. So you must spy on them all the time. And
well, I for one was never a kid, so I don't know what the like.
Well, this is the thing. They imply that we don't know what it's like to be a kid. Like we were kids once. You not like yes. What is wrong with you? Anyway, sorry, I just had to.
I think it's also important here to say that whenever I talk about this on Tumblr about this topic, I get like 15 anonymous asks thanking me for working on this because they had parents spying on them with shit like this, and none of those people talk to their parents anymore. Just for context. If you use shit like this on your children, they will not talk to you ever again. You will lose your child. So yes, do not, just don't. Yeah, the thing I did want to say just quickly about the general opinion of monitoring your children's internet usage. There's a tool for that. It's called talking to your children and talking to them about what they do online. They already
literally
they invented a tool for that before there was software. It's called like, yeah, like you don't need to be a controlling piece of shit to know what your children are doing. You just need to be nice.
Capitalism will literally make parents become cops to their kids. It's fucked. It's completely.
Yeah, it's also like, yeah, I do like in very many quotes the testimonials in some of these softwares where it's like, yeah, so we used this and then we found out our son was depressed, so now we talk to him a little more and he doesn't seem depressed anymore. And it's just like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like you needed to pay $70 for an app to tell you that maybe your son feels lonely and left alone. I mean, at least I'm glad they took like kind of the right message out of that, but also holy shit. Like
they got there in the end.
Yeah, it's like the one question I do always just have is if you're a parent and you use this and you find out your kid is being bullied at school, or you find out your kid is doing bad, or your kid is doing something you don't want them to do, how do you react? You already resorted to weird technology. First of all, I couldn't tell my child like, lol, so basically I've been like spying on you for the past year. I hope you're okay with that, and if not, well, too bad. Anyways, we saw that you're depressed, so we didn't talk to you until now, but we want to do something about. I just cannot imagine a way in which this would help. Even like, I cannot come up with any scenario where this wouldn't be actively harmful.
No,
in like 15 ways.
It's always going to be actively harmful. Like even back in the day when I was having trouble with, like, you know, moving around when I was younger and stuff, I had a stepdad who was a piece of shit. And you know, like, even then there was no fucking tracking software in that time. And like, even then, like my parents, like 3 years later than it should have happened, saying like, yeah, we think we're going to send you to a counselor, was like, oh great, you know what I mean? Yeah, good fucking job, gang. Like, you killed it. Like, so glad, so fucking glad. And then the counselor told me that I was just being an attention seeker. So great.
Wow,
just fucking great.
I don't have a good segue into saying let's talk more about Stalkerware.
No, we should.
Yes. Anyways, I was gonna go more into like some of these other ones. I found the spy hide one very interesting. That was a hack I did myself. I'm just gonna come out and say it. I don't fucking care. I don't care if this. I'm gonna assume here this Iranian company is not gonna manage and sue me in Switzerland for making spyware that I then hacked. So I will just come out and say this straight away that yes, I did hack spy hide. As I already said, it's an Iranian company made like, which was interesting because everything was bad about their software. Like, besides the like ethical things, it was very easy to get into. It was very easy to steal all of their data, like literally all of it, all of their websites, their entire database, all of the files. Like, this was one of the things which also it does fun shit, such as having a button that lets you record the ambient audio from the phone of the person you're spying on, so you know what's happening in the room they're in.
It's wild.
I'm thinking about the people who developed this software, and I'm thinking for no reason about the ending of the film Midsommar.
Yeah, it's just like, also for this, I did find out one person who at least worked on this number of years back for a little while. I tried to reach out to him. He then eventually got back to me when I published his name on my website to tell me that he has not worked at this company forever. They didn't pay him. It was a shit job. And he didn't tell me anything about how he feels about it morally, but he didn't seem like too into the idea overall. His name is now not in the article anymore because I was like, okay, you are not involved in this at this day. It's okay. It's still... the thing is that in the end, I also found like other things on this guy. I accidentally hacked this guy. So sorry, Mehdi. Or not really, but kinda. But yeah, basically, like this was a fun thing. It was also fun to write up. Like, I enjoy writing these up, especially when I get a detailed write-up or when I do, because in the end, I don't know, it kind of ends up becoming tutorials for various like strategies for getting into shit. And I mean, someone's got to do the like low-key tutorials online. They also published a teaser written with sad, not with a C or an S. It's the teaser for the software, which is like the most 2012 Minecraft intro core video about how you should be a controlling piece of shit. So yeah.
That's the most cursed thing I think anyone's ever said.
The thing is also with this company, they had like 700,000 user accounts. The amount of people using these software it's fucked up.
That's extreme.
Yeah. There were like about 60,000 devices that were spied on using this software. There was one user who on his own was spying on 30 people over a span of like 4 years. And it's just like shit like this that does just make me like sound like, I don't know, like that was after that I was like, I need a break from Stalkerware. I cannot do this anymore for a while. Like, I don't know, like I keep working on like extremism shit and on like shit like abuse stuff, and it's like, this is important work, but also Jesus Christ, like it's hard to work through sometimes. But like I'm glad I'm doing it. It's just kind of sad that like most of the reporting on this that is happening is from the Coalition Against Stalkerware, shout out, which is the EFF and a bunch of antivirus companies, with basically the main plan being mobile antivirus software generally highlights stalkerware and explicitly explains what it is and how to deal with it. Good. Yes. And they also do like support for victims so they can like help figure out how to get out of situations. And yeah. And well, Zach from TechCrunch and me, we're like the people who report on this, the people who work on this. I'm just glad that me going out, like, fuck it, I need to do something against this again. It's been since 2020. I know more shit now. I have a bigger platform. Let's go against Stalkerware. Has already resulted in 3 of these companies getting hacked. One of them already having gone, like, blanked. And there's the other one, OwnSpy, which got hacked, like, a few days ago, which I wrote up 2 days ago as well. At least part of their infrastructure has now been taken down after they got asked for comment by TechCrunch. So yeah, also apparently their data was also deleted. It was at least what my source claimed. So yeah.
Good job, based, etc.
Yeah, it's amazing. I had a
also 1 second. I just realized I forgot to put this in the Spy Hide article. I'm just going to say it here. They're doing the usual strategy people in this business do when they get hacked, when anything happens, is they just rebranded. They're now OO Spy instead of Spy Hide. I don't think they informed any of their customers that their login page is now on a completely different server, and they just pretend to be shut down, but are running under a different name now. So they are operating as OO Spy now. I think we like kind of semi-accidentally got their PayPal shut down though. I assume they have a new one by now, but maybe they lost some funds at some point. And yeah, I don't know. Like the thing I do always hope coming out of this is like that various orgs, like some of the people I do also send this data to is like various domestic abuse support groups and like victim support groups, especially victim support groups who do like information security work, who like do shit also like against revenge porn and things like that, who are like experienced in working with data, were experienced in working with victims, and which I do hope that like usually these hacks do help some people out of situations like this. And yeah, because like the support need here is massive. I think that the interesting thing I do also always find is like, because all of these basically do back up like text messages and shit. And it is looking through this because it's just somewhat just to get an idea of things that are going on. And holy shit, the amount of like proof of crimes that you just get from having spyware on hundreds of thousands of people's phones. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then the other thing is like you can just technically, like if you have this on a victim's phone, you can take over accounts because you get their 2FA codes.
Yeah.
You get their 2-factor codes.
I mean, you were just saying before that you were like, oh, well, you know, we had their email as well. But it's like when you've hacked stuff or whatever, it's like, that's the thing. It's like if you have someone's phone and you have like their email, their bank account, all that kind of stuff like that, you can do damage. But yeah, I was going to say a friend of mine actually had this happen to her years ago now. And her abusive partner ended up being able to take over everything, and even to the point that he was able to send messages from her phone to her family members and everything like that to kind of fuck with everything. But the way that she actually found out was another big like, you know, fuck up from the companies, just showing how bad I guess their security stuff is, was she just had it was like you know, like a little notification update. An update notification saying like, oh yeah, like this app is like updating on her phone or whatever, and she was like, I don't know what that app is. And it was masquerading as something else. It was like a basic thing, like a calculator or some shit like that.
It's usually either calculators or they pretend to be a system component, like it's called like system update, or it's like Wi-Fi, and then sometimes they are actually a shortcut on your home screen that just opens the Wi-Fi screen in settings, but it's just actually like their app, just because
So yeah, it was just something like that, and then she just kind of did a little snooping, and then she Googled it, and then it all came up, and it was like, oh yeah, Stalkerware, all this kind of stuff, and yeah, it was huge. It was like even just dealing with it was like a huge chapter, you know, in her life or whatever. So it's one of those things where it's like it is happening out there. All it takes is for some controlling dude to you know, jump on Reddit or whatever and be like, hey, you know, like, what can I do to, you know, find out where my girlfriend is going every day? Like, you know, she says she's going to work, but whatever. And then and that's literally all it takes to get it,
I think what's also important to mention here for people who do find out that this is being used against them, first of all, for all of the ones I mentioned that have been hacked, when you search for it on Google, you will probably, one of the top results will probably be the TechCrunch article on them. Those always have a guide for finding out if this app is on your phone and how to remove it and which hotlines you can call to get help, at least in the US. The other thing is, in many countries, using software like this against you without your consent is illegal. The use of such software is often very, very, very useful in domestic abuse cases because it is like fixed proof that someone is doing abusive shit against you, which is hard to get in like abuse cases usually because there's often not like much material proof. This is material proof. You can use this in a court case against like an abuser if you need a restraining order or whatever. I want this out there. This is like a thing that is like obviously fucks you up, but like this is a thing you can use against your abuser legally. This is a thing you can use against your abuser in court.
So I'm gonna get the TechCrunch article and link it in chat, and I think we'll try and put it in the description of the podcast also if you're listening to the podcast version.
And also there's the Coalition Against Stalkerware, stopstalkerware.org. This has like all the info on all the things. This also has the things on the legal state of stalkerware, especially in the US, and what the EFF is currently doing to combat it. There's at least some of the bigger providers, like the one that just lost in court, they are now required to show notifications to victims so they know that there's an app on their phone spying on them, which obviously doesn't entirely solve the issue. It's still a US court. They're not going to actually fix the issue. But that's a massive step, and it's precedent. It's obviously worded in a way where they're trying to make it hard to use it as precedent. It's U.S. courts making good judgments, so of course they make it hard to use it as precedent. But so there is precedent there.
I feel like it kind of defeats the whole point of stalkerware if there's notifications popping up.
Obviously, yeah.
But it just like then like how are they selling this software? I don't understand this.
I mean, then it becomes more something again like Life 360 or whatever, where it's like this is with consent when it kind of forgets obviously forgets that on purpose that there is like power levels in play. Like that's why it is not possible, especially for a child, to consent to being spied on by their parents.
Right.
Absolutely, and like a parent can be like, hey, look, like I'm only going to give you a phone if we have this on here. Like the only way you can have this is if it's on here, or like, there's like so many situations where it's like, even with, like how abusive people can be quite manipulating, like, I mean, obviously, but, you can like imagine someone being like, hey, look, I need to, for your safety, I need to know where you are because of, whatever situation or whatever like that. I need to, like, what if something happens? So you should put this app on your phone.
I think the way, especially Life 360, there is more things like that who are like more open, and like it's usually that they have this thing where like it's two ways. So like you also see like where everyone in the family is, and it's like the whole idea of this is, but like even then, like obviously that's still not a thing you can consent to. Like as you cannot this is not a thing you can consent to as a partner being abused. This is not a thing you can consent to as a child. Just because due to the like power differences going on, and due to like the risks you would get into by not consent, like and that's I think the thing people do forget a lot when they make arguments for these apps, which like sure for like Life 360 there's like probably like 2-3 good use cases where like I guess it makes sense, like if someone is actually doing risky shit and like yeah, whatever. Or you can be like, hey, I am feeling unsafe. Can you please have this so like you can see where I am, and so I feel more safe? Whatever. Like there's like just a very limited number of use cases where something like that makes sense. But people like to just wholesale defend these on the point of, well, that this is happening, and you like this is the thing you see, and like no, that's just completely ignoring like again the social aspect. These are apps trying to solve social problems with more technology.
And also, just to add to what you're saying about like people knowing doesn't negate the abuse. Many people are in abusive relationships and they are aware that they are abusive, like they are being hit in the face. That is not something that they're like oblivious to, yet they remain in those relationships. And I would never say that them remaining is the sign that they're consenting to being hit in the face, you know? So it's like any other form of abuse.
Yeah.
Awful.
I think that's everything I have for now on Stalkerware without going into like technical details, which I don't think makes much sense here. I think one thing though that's like a little more funny is for OwnSpy, how they are like, this is the most privacy-focused parental control app. They finally made privacy-focused spyware. This whole section on how privacy-focused it is ends in, like us, Apple always believed that your data belongs only to you, which is really funny for an app that is made to steal someone else's data. But
right.
Yeah, it's just funny in this like sad, ironic way of this, just funny in the way lots of weird dystopian shit is kind of funny. And like
what is it, Southland Tales, the movie? It's just like everything is like so ironic and like you just, you know, it just jokifies you.
I think like also just I kind of need the ability to be able to kind of joke about this, given like, I don't know, this is my work in a way. Like this is what I do, and this is shit I need to read about every day. And yeah.
Yeah, totally. It's kind of like that gallows humor thing where it's like you're just around it so much and it's kind of like, this is really horrible, but you know.
Okay, it's time for the funny energy drink that looks like a hand grenade and has this pin thing. I'm just drinking one silly drink after another right now.
I'm the only one who doesn't drink energy drinks. I feel like everyone I know drinks energy drinks.
Them, yeah.
Okay.
I try to avoid.
I drink so many. I'm just like such a trans girl stereotype. And
I was gonna say maybe it's a trans femme thing that like the energy drinks.
The
Monster energy drink.
Yeah, but I think we can lighten up the mood a bit. Unless Sophie has like another question prepared, I would have like a funny blog post to talk about. Let's
just do that.
Which is my funny tale of the blog post is titled "The iFunny Clone That Isn't," and this is like an exploration I did like a while ago. I don't know. Maybe some of you have read this either here on my website or on Tumblr. It was originally a Tumblr post, but I first did this whole investigation like a few months ago when I first saw an image online, a meme which had a footer that says americasbestpics.com. Like an iPhone. It was just and I was like, okay, what the hell is americasbestpics.com? So you go there and it looks like, this is kind of like an iFunny clone with even more racist people on it. Because it's called America's Best Pics. And then like I was like, okay, I want to figure out what company this is. Maybe this would be a fun little hacking target, just as a funny little side project, just to figure out how this works. So I like open developer tools like just in my browser basic, and suddenly I see like, wait, their JavaScript files are hosted on static.ifunny.co. And I go like, wait, what is going on here? So like, I look at it a bit more. I see, okay, they have a mobile app. It's published by Funtech Publishing Limited, which is already ringing a bell in my head. And I'm suddenly like, wait, right. iFunny is run by FunCorp, which horrible fucking name, the most dystopian shit ever. Also, side note, Funtech is a word invented by iFunny to describe their industry. They work in Funtech.
Oh my god!
It's I don't know. They just want to be some dystopian supervillain company, apparently.
Yeah.
I feel like something like Funtech would have like the highest suicide rates or something absurd.
But so I like looked a bit into like ownership and stuff. So I like looked into like corporate info on Funtech Publishing, which it's actually a limited company. It's not just them lying on the Play Store like every other company with 15 subsidiaries. But no, Funtech Publishing does exist, and it's also in Cyprus. For some reason, they're headquartered in the exact same city as iFunny. /FunCorp. That's interesting. And then I was like, that's an interesting name. Who's the like? And then I was like, the main company officer is Irina Antipina. And wait, then I clicked on her name, and then it's like similarly named officers. Fina Antipina, director, iFunny US Incorporated. so yes, iFunny is running iFunny clones, which I didn't write this in this blog post, but that is a pretty common like monopolizing strategy, is running your own like competitors, because that way you get more control of the market, right? By just but they basically made an America-focused iFunny clone.
I love that this is being done from Cyprus as well. Like,
yeah, it's interesting. They and also under Funtech, they also have various other apps. One of which is like some shady TikTok clone where you can in some way get paid to use the app. Always a fan favorite. It's like advertising shit. Like, it's not shady at all, obviously. Which also, side note, is listed under a different company and under a different corporate structure on the Play Store, even though also being listed on the Funtech website. I haven't dug further into that yet, but I'm curious how far this rabbit hole leads of iFunny subsidiaries, which aren't technically subsidiaries, but just so happen to be run by the same people and have the same name and in the same industry and using the same servers. And they also have a WhatsApp status saver app, like one of those apps that lets you like save other people's WhatsApp status images, obviously with ads in it. And then some weird other meme-focused TikTok clone. They've run 2 TikTok clones. And it's the most cringy TikTok clone ever. Wait, I think it's called Fun XD. That's one word. Fun XD.
Great name.
And it's the world's funniest videos and pics. And it's like the advertising images on the Play Store. It's like a Doge meme and like other 2014 ass memes. It's great. Definitely gonna download that one. Yeah. Oh wait. I just clicked on this again. Does America's Best Pics not exist anymore?
Oh no! Where will America get their best picks?
How are we gonna?
Not from Cyprus.
It's kind of giving me the vibe of like.
Wait, no, it does, but their mobile app doesn't.
It's like
it does.
Seems legit.
You get these kinds of like adverts for apps coming up when you're watching like a porno. And it will be like, you need to, what are you doing masturbating? You need to fuck grannies in your area. If you refuse sex from the app, you will be banned and all this shit. It's just sounds like that, but like...
I think we hang out on different parts of the internet.
A funny meme and like, you know, it's just, I don't understand. I just don't understand.
Yeah. Like what's the, I don't know. I love that kind of stuff. I actually had a friend who had a little kind of weird gig where she was making those ads, and apparently a lot of the trick to them is, or what they want is for them to look as shit as possible, because then it's relatable, which I thought was pretty amazing. You know, like it's got to look like it was just like the ad was knocked together by like, you know, like a horny housewife on Craigslist or some shit like that.
right. Yeah, that makes sense.
I do find it interesting just how the reason I always emphasize that I find this generally a bad problem, even if it's only used on kids or even if it's used with consent. It's just because that's just such a normalized thing in the society, like the whole just idea of the children are just property. I'm still amazed I got to like do that whole rant on the fucking Malware Bytes podcast, like the antivirus software podcast. And I think it's funny that the one thing I said while recording it, like basically as a joke, that they actually put that in the blog post about it, where I just said I'm the person here who can say this because I'm not employed by Malware Bytes, but we need to hack more of these companies. And they actually put that in the blog post because obviously like that was basically made clear to me, and like communications before, is that they obviously cannot officially endorse this, right? Because they're an antivirus. But it's just
they probably knew that getting someone like you. I mean, like,
I mean, I was surprised in the first place that like I got invited on a podcast by like an antivirus, so not because I like questioned their intentions in this regard. Like they're a part of the coalition against Stalkerware. They have a very clear position against Stalkerware. They are also saying that like this is helpful to them, like data like this is helpful for working against this. It's just that, yeah, obviously they cannot explicitly endorse hacking at the anti-hacking corporation. So.
It's funny because I just can't understand how anyone would even, remotely try and defend themselves from using software like this. Like you can't. I think that's why it kind of makes sense in a way that they would have you on to talk about that stuff, because then it's like, well, this is like a really important thing. I don't think there's any amount of like Ben Shapiro's in the world, or I mean, maybe Matt Walsh would probably give it a go, or the guys on the Fresh and Fit podcast, even though they got banned or something recently. I don't know. But like, how can you defend like, oh no, I should be able to stalk my partner. I should be able to.
I think the important thing also I want to mention is just that, like, even if you morally do not get why that's a bad thing, just look at how how I think the list on Wikipedia now of these softwares that have been hacked is up to like 10 or 15. This is this is not a big industry, and like half of this industry has been hacked. This should tell you enough about whether you should use this software.
Yeah, you're not gonna get anywhere.
The idea that like children are your property and stuff is like extremely normalized in a lot of places, like especially in places like certain parts of America and stuff, where it's like that's just a given. It's like a cultural thing where it's like your kids are yours until they're grown up, and then they're never really their own anyway. But so I feel like on a podcast like Malware Bytes, there's probably like a bunch of like techie people that like, because it's that kind of thing, like how like a lot of tech obsessed people will be like, oh, that seems like a great app, and like like I want to like keep an eye on my kids or whatever like that, and they would never even think about like the actual kind of like moral kind of side of things, the implications of it or whatever. So I think it's good that like they're getting people like you on there, because there's probably some, I'm gonna say, fellow traveler autistic dudes that probably loaded that shit up on their kids' app without even like thinking, like without even thinking about it or whatever, just being like, this is cool tech, like hell yeah, like I can see what my kids doing at lunchtime, I can see they're in the sand pit or whatever like that, and then being like, oh shit, actually this is really fucked up, like this is like
No, like I'm very glad. I was very positively surprised that they just let me do the whole rant about how the software, even shit like Life 360, is bad, and that they gave me that platform on the like fairly big Malware Bytes podcast. That was cool to see, and it's cool that I get to do this everywhere else as well. Like I didn't expect people here to disagree, besides maybe in chat, which we saw, but yeah.
If it's not a big industry, have we considered putting up like a fake storefront that like when the software is installed, it just pops up with a notification being like, hey, someone did this, run, call the police. But like when they make an account, it just like reports them immediately.
That is pretty fucking smart. This is why I'm friends with you.
Although I don't think police are really going to be all that helpful.
Yeah, I'm not that serious. Like alternate suggestions, like you make an account and it just like takes you straight to Goatsy.
yeah. Or you put in your account details to like pay for it or whatever, and it charges like a bunch of charges to like a really like questionable, like I don't know, something insinuating it's something far worse. Your bank account gets shut down.
The payment details say Al Qaeda. Like
yeah. Like
it immediately calls the FBI on you.
Yeah, and then the SWAT team like kick down your door and shoot you in the head or something. Yeah.
All right, we should get started with questions because we've got a lot.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Cool.
Which is great, by the way. This is not a complaint.
So many questions.
Oxyhixo, question from Maya. Is there much crossover between the Stalkerware you've mentioned and LEO/state level spyware?
Not really. I was gonna go and get into that anyways, but then I saw the question and thought I would like take this to here. But not really. Like the thing about Stalkerware, the thing I hate saying, but the thing that also makes it clear why the security is so bad. This is a really quick, easy cash grab for if you have a web development company. Most of these are made by like random web consulting companies that, besides this, make like websites for their local barbershops and whatnot. And as their side hustle, they make a shit ton of money by paying like random people in third world countries to make them a mobile app for their really badly coded spyware app that they then sell to paranoid people. So
yeah, I'm this is like a huge general practice in
yes.
a lot of text. Like there's Grinder was I've worked with the Indian developers who made Grinder. Very
Yes.
similar kind of like.
Yeah, it's like it's a general practice, and this is like even more like, yeah, these are all like just not people who otherwise work in spyware. These are just people who want some quick bucks. So yeah, like unfortunately, this is a business you can very easily make a lot of money with, because you are like the sad thing really is that there is also like the people who pay for this shit are in a way also the victims, because they are just being like, it's just playing into their fears. Like that's like the whole idea of it is playing into fears of someone. I'm pretty sure like a lot of people who use this shit would not be like as problematic of a person, as much of a controlling person, if they weren't asked this question of like, do you know if your partner is like cheating on you? Do you really know? Like, download this app now to find out. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like the shit like this does stuff to people. And like, this is not me trying to defend abusers, obviously. But it's just like, I feel like many people wouldn't be abusers if they weren't like every day by advertisements, like even outside of this, constantly asked the question of, do you trust your loved ones?
Oh,
like,
no.
I think it's also like the idea of like, like the, it's like fucking putting on a, like the One Ring or some shit like that. It's like knowing that there is like this power there that you can get, it's like for a lot of people that are a bit insecure, who, perhaps a bit opportunistic or whatever like that, they're probably gonna jump on that, like even if they're like, even I feel like even just like knowing that the technology is out there would be a corrupting influence on people that already are a little bit shitty, like people that are a little bit shitty are going to get a lot more shitty if they they have access to that.
Yeah, that was basically my point. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, the next one we've got here from Mira Esmar, question: any ideas on why don't the more popular newspapers talk more about the state of Stalkerware? Are they afraid of being hacked? And do they profit too much to shed light on the problem?
I think, okay, like in part, this is somewhat a hard topic to cover, like accurately. It's a difficult topic to cover, like mental health wise. This is not like I've talked to this, especially also with SAC. Like this is, I don't know, like everyone I know who works in reporting on this, everyone who works in like hacking this, everyone who works in combating this, I know we're all tired. Like this shit has been going on for years. This fight has been going on for years. And like, I don't know, like there is journalism on this. Unfortunately, like most of it is fucking horrid. Like there was, I think the Sun covered like the one hack. Obviously, like it made the whole British tabloid run when like the spy hide happened. And it was all just like completely wrong and bad, and it's just, I don't think it's even scary. It's just that like a lot of other journalistic outlets don't have like the power to cover this, and well, no one else is like really an expert in doing like first level or secondary reporting on this. Yeah, and then you have the whole thing of like, especially in tech journalism, like there's not a lot of people. You don't take others niche, even if they would probably often be glad to not have to cover a niche alone. Yeah, it's just, yeah. And also getting shit published like this, especially since a lot of it is about hacks, a lot of it is using hack data. I feel like it's getting easier to publish shit based on hack data, but it's still like a thing like a lot of people are scared about. A lot of people are scared of like doing, and a lot of editors are a bit apprehensive about, especially when it then comes to like complex social problems such as like Stalkerware, which, like, yeah, it is a social problem. It's not as like much more than it is like a technological thing.
I'll ask the next one. So from Anarchic Alex, is it common for people to be tricked into installing Stalkerware remotely, and how can they protect themselves from this? Also, is it being picked up on and blocked by antivirus programs?
So yes, there's not many another like do the remote installation thing. SpyHide was one of those. They had this whole thing where you basically tell your victim, oh, install this cool Tesla themed ringtone generator. They're not very creative with what they hide these apps at. And then like, oh, but you need to download it from this shady site, not Google Play. And also you need to enter my activation code. So if anyone just asks you to download an app off a random website and enter like their activation code, which is like, and also like you see it like, because you're being asked to install this yourself, the app will ask you for way too many permissions. In general, a ringtone creator does not need access to your camera and to everything on your phone and to your calls and to your messages. So yeah. Like it's just and yes, the like antivirus companies are basically all in like the coalition against Stalkerware. There's like as much as possible they do generally detect that. That's like the one thing mobile antivirus software is kind of good for. Google Play Protect will detect it. That's also a reminder if you are like, if you know you are in a like abusive relationship, if you have like a controlling partner, if you're on Android, go check if Google Play Protect is still enabled, because the guides, I think there should be a guide for how to enable Google Play Protect somewhere online. But basically, all the guides for installing Stalkerware tell you to disable Play Protect, because Play Protect is like the Android antivirus from Google. And well, it obviously detects all of these apps. So yeah, that like you're like the person operating this will disable that on your device.
Awesome.
Cool.
What's
All
the
right,
next
I'll
one?
do the next one. Mirror Restmare asks, sorry, I think that means Prince Harry, sued some UK Yellow Page newspapers, The Sun, in parentheses, question mark, for hacking him with Stalkerware. This is one of the better known and maybe only such cases. Any opinions on this?
I mean, I'm like, okay, I'm not, obviously I do not condone like hacking random celebrities and shit, and especially not from The Sun, but I think that's interesting, like just generally as a case of a thing that happened. I don't know, I don't have a particular opinion on this other than don't spy on people. Like I'm just generally against the concept of intelligence in that sense, because it's bad. So yeah. And also I'm against British tabloid press.
I'm also against the concept of intelligence. We shouldn't think anything. We
Yes,
should never know
too.
anything. I'm taking an anti-epistemological stance here. Knowing is wrong.
Yes.
Right.
Share if you don't think.
Yeah. So we got another from James TVJ. Question: how safe are hackers in terms of being hidden if they do their due diligence? Could a case as high as the gas pipeline hacking be just as safe from detection as smaller efforts?
I mean, okay, this is a question about OPSEC. I'm not really willing to answer OPSEC questions, but because I'm not a person you should listen to about OPSEC, as you can tell from me being on the Red Planet podcast talking about hacking.
Yeah, openly.
That is generally considered bad OPSEC. But
when we have OPSEC people on, please ask their OPSEC questions to the OPSEC people.
But the thing is, you can be safe, you could be unsafe. Just I don't know. You just need to know who you're up against. That's like the thing. It depends. If state intelligence wants to find you, they eventually will. If you're lucky, it might just take a few years. Like that's, yeah.
So from Demented MK, Maya, how do you feel about the different ways people see you online in terms of the divide between funny, memey Tumblr stuff and serious hacking stuff?
Yeah, I'm glad that I am at this point both. But it is always funny to me how many people who follow me on Tumblr do not know that I do this stuff, and then routinely whenever I post about like having written a thing on my website, I suddenly get like 15 anonymous asks like, "Holy shit, you are that person," and I'm like, "Yeah." It's like linked in my bio and in my pin post, and like yeah, it's just funny. Like it really is the no reading comprehension side. But
I have the same thing where I'll post a video and someone will send me and ask, like, I thought you were just the Daily Mail penis woman. I had no idea you make content.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny for me. People like sometimes are like, oh wait, you're not just this funny person who suddenly appeared on Tumblr and was really popular for no reason. I do love the thing I do love about Tumblr is how no one really questions why the big blocks are big. It's just like, oh, this is just we have those here. It's I don't know that like I'm glad I'm not just the big funny Tumblr girly instead of still the big Twitter funny girly, because the Tumblr is a lot better for my mental health. It's a lot more fun to be posting on.
Tumblr is far superior. James TVJ asked, how important is it to learn Leet Hacksaw speak? I am fluent but embarrassed these days. Also, I'm showing my age.
I think, yeah, you are showing your age. No,
I was on holiday the other week. I stayed in room like 1337 in a hotel, and I was like, I'm never forgetting my room. Like, this is, I'm always like, was I on floor 8 or whatever? It's like, no, I was on the elite floor.
No, I think like for like I think ironically, it's one of those things that are funny ironically, and I feel like it's always been a kind of ironic thing. We just moved past the being cringe unapologetically phase, and we're now finally getting back into the being cringe era of the internet. So I feel like we should just bring it back. We should all just start using more typing quirks again.
The cringe will set us free. It normally does.
It's true. Fear of cringe is the mind killer.
It is.
What else have we got? Pizza Kata wants to know, Maya, what are the best energy drinks these days?
Okay, so this will not make sense to anyone here who isn't from Switzerland or has never been to Switzerland, but I regret to inform you that it is the cheap supermarket drink from Migros. It's the Embuche pomegranate. It's the pink one, which makes it better already, and also it's pomegranate flavored energy drink, and it's 55 cents, and it's the best energy drink you can get. So yeah, but I drink kind of all of them. I wanted to get one of these again today just because they're funny. They're like fucking hand grenade shaped. Like what's not to love about hand grenade shaped energy drink? Like it is one of those like tab thingies, so you do have to pull it up and you
gotta pull the pin.
Yeah,
that's the best thing I've ever seen.
For that energy explosion.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people talk about like the Aldi energy drinks. I think I might be making that up. Maybe they're the best in the UK.
Maybe they're good in the UK. The energy drinks in Switzerland are really bad.
Did anyone try the Coca-Cola energy? It was just like flat Coca-Cola.
It literally was that, right? Like they just like leave it out for a day and they're like 100%.
Oh shit, we accidentally spoiled a huge batch of Coke. We'll sell it as Coke Energy.
Yeah, that definitely does sound like a Coke move.
Yeah, no one will be able to tell the difference from all the sugar in it anyway and the caffeine. So
yeah.
It's just Coke Energy. Oh god. Well, we do have another question from someone. I think this is a new chatter, Sophie from Mars. She says, Maya, how are you so cool and do you know you're my hero?
How am I so cool? Great. Am I cool? I'm cool. I don't know. I think like generally like what made me more like a person people found cool and the person I myself found cool was just it's just the whole like be cringe, be free thing. I'm just doing my shit and I'm having fun doing my shit. I'm not at a point where I'm really doing my own shit. Like I'm somewhat living off of blogging. I'm somewhat living off of doing content. I accidentally like just kind of went into becoming a content creator by hacking the United States government, I guess. It happens. I'm really excited also just generally for this year. There is now some cool projects lined up. I'm involved in some cool projects. The only thing I'm gonna say is like I have said this to many people when talking about some shit that's currently like going on, is I always like used to joke about how a few years back it wasn't yet clear if I'm gonna be a film gay or a computer gay. Well, don't worry about it. I'm gonna be both soon enough. So yeah.
What a note to come back to.
I will not say more about that, but there are cool things coming. There's probably also soon gonna be more Maya streams and Maya YouTube content again with my wife. I don't know if it is watching right now. Whatever, but like there will be more content other than just blog posts. There will be more silly content, not just from me, but for me together with a partner. So yeah.
Cool. All right. Looking forward to it.
We already have like 2 video ideas. They're gonna hopefully come soon enough. We keep it among other things involves having to first clean up my room, which is
Yeah, I know them ones. Yeah.
Where's Dr. Peterson when you need him?
Oh, that's absolutely great. Well, do you have, as you did last time, I seem to remember the homework that you gave the chat and the listeners last time was watch the 1995 film Hackers.
Right, yeah.
And by the way, we did that in our community. We watched Hackers together.
Yeah.
I
hope you all enjoyed it. So
I did. I love that movie. Do you have any homework for our sweet
any new homework
nerd listeners? Yeah.
I didn't think about it beforehand this time. This is like you are catching me off guard again.
That's fine. That's completely fine. You know.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything in particular other than like Hack the Planet, which is now a Hackers reference you now should all get because you all did last time's homework. So yeah, Hack the Planet and like Hackers of the World Unite. Yeah. No, I will not tell people to watch the film Sneakers because it is like, okay, so you know how Hackers is the transgender hacking movie, right? Sneakers is like if they made hacking cishet. It's a cool movie, but there is no like it's still like I don't know. It's just Hackers is more trashy and it's better because it's more trashy and Sneakers.
I agree.
Not very good.
This whole thing smacks of gender, I yell as I throw my VHS of Sneakers into the bin.
Yeah, I think it's funny how since I went on my whole crusade about how Hackers is the best movie ever, there are now more and more cool essays and video essays out about how it's the most transgender movie ever. I think today, online sign from Ireland, an Irish online transgender sign they released, which has a whole 2-page essay on how everyone in Hackers is trans and like justifying it and explaining how their gender is presented and like it's cool. Like I'm glad that I'm somehow making this movie relevant in current pop culture. I'm still dedicated to that. But
I feel like there's like a string of these kind of like I guess like kind of these like techno thrillers that came out in like the 90s and stuff that are actually way more relevant now than they were then. Like I recently rewatched one of my like old favorites from when I was young and I was just like, holy shit, this goes so hard. But I don't know if anyone else has seen Strange Days. It's like an old Catherine Bigelow movie. I think it's Catherine Bigelow.
That's ringing a bell. Maybe
it's it's a really good movie about it's like this kind of like dystopian future where they have like a technology where you can record someone's like it's like basically people buy like these VR tapes of people's actual memories and experiences and stuff, and it kind of goes into this big conspiracy. It's got like Angela Bassett just like killing it in it. It's a great movie. It can be a little bit hard to track down, but very cool. Like kind of even like a lot of the stuff it kind of goes into. It hints a little bit about stuff about like the move bombings and stuff like that, and like kind of like Black Panthers and stuff. It's it's very good. I definitely that's last time we told you to watch Hackers. This time go watch Strange Days. That's my homework. That's not my homework. That's homework from me.
There you go. Special Tim homework, listeners.
Yeah.
Homework from hosts is proportional to the number of hosts who recommend it. So a quarter of you need to watch Strange Days.
Yeah. All right, cool.
I agree.
So yeah, it's a good amount.
The rest of you watch Please Baby Please. from Angela Kramer. It's really, really, if you like queer stuff, oh boy, you're gonna like that.
Yeah, and yeah, that's it. That's it.
Well, if we're all doing this, I'm just gonna say everyone has to watch Akira.
Yes,
never
yes,
time
yes.
to watch Akira.
I do also. I agree. Yes,
read Akira too. It's really good, even as like a separate experience. Like, not that either one is better or worse, but like read it as well.
Sophie's got all the Akira books.
I'm looking at them right there. Yeah. If people don't know, the Akira movie was made and released like when the first 5 volumes are out. So like the 6th one has a really interesting relationship to the movie, where like the creator was able to kind of rethink what the ending was going to be about, and kind of how best to get across the ideas and whatever, and what worked in the movie. And it's like neither are necessarily the superior thing, but it's like really interesting.
Yeah, it's very
Akira, what movie are you going to recommend?
Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
very classic Akira.
It's got
nothing to do with anything we're talking about.
No, not at all.
But I love that movie.
I guess if we're just already all recommending it, I guess I can just also reiterate. I feel like there's gonna be enough people here who have not done this, but please watch Ghost in the Shell. Like, either the movie or the series or everything. And I'm probably the one single person in the world who actually likes the Netflix series, just because there is more content in the world, and I just like the world building of Ghost in the Shell a lot. But it's not like really good, but it's more in the world, so it's like, I don't know.
I love when you have the relationship to a particular franchise where it's like, this is at this point slop, but I need more of the slop because I like the flavor. So just shovel it right in my mouth.
Like, honestly, the worst bit about the Netflix thing is just that they made this weird 3D animation thing out of it. It's like, and it's like, it could be so good if it was proper. Like, it would be, like, the story is really good in my opinion. I hate that they did a fucking cliffhanger after season 1. I think season 2 is out now after that, but whatever. It's also great how, like, because there's so many series of this, it's like the numbering of it gets so complicated and you don't know which goes where in the timeline. Like, there's like 3 different like timelines of Ghost in the Shell. It's great. Like, go watch all of it. It's like you can probably spend like a month watching nothing but Ghost in the Shell, and you will not regret it. Mostly, there's like
yeah, no, it's really great. And Mamoru Oshii's other stuff is great too. Angel's Egg.
Yes. That the episode, one of the episodes being called Edgelord, the Revolution of the 14-year-olds, is really funny. And it, like, I don't know, like the new, it does play a lot into like the same shit they played into back in the day, but like in the modern sense. It's great. I love it. It's fucking slop, but it's enjoyable.
It's fucking slop. We love slop.
If you want some quality slap, by the way, I'm gonna do 2 recommendations because why not? I made my community watch this the other day because I was like, I was just putting on crap that I just saw on like the homepage of my whatever. And it's a movie called Shotgun Wedding. It's with J-Lo. It's a 2022 J-Lo movie. And it was like actually a really solid turn your brain off like fluff film. If you want a solid turn your brain off fluff film with 2022 J-Lo looking fantastic, Shotgun Wedding.
See,
it's actually good and fun. Yeah,
I love it when people say, I'm gonna turn my brain off and watch a movie. I don't want to think about it too much, because I'll put on like the most complex art house film
I can't do that
seen in the world, but I also turn my brain off. So I just don't. I don't even remotely think now.
I mean, speaking of like Akira and Ghost in the Shell, I've done this both of these like 5 times, and like Nat like was just like, I still don't understand what happens in any of these movies. We keep on doing it when it's like really late at night, and I'm not in a state to understand this movie at all. And I'm like, that's cool. Just watch the fun cartoon.
Shiny movies, cool things moving around. It's all good.
It's weird just stuff. Like. I don't know, especially I feel like cyberpunk like lends itself really well to like the cyberpunk of the 90s and 80s and whatnot, because it's like we're now living in this world this portrays, and it's kind of like, I don't know, I could look outside and it would be like the same except less cool and somehow still less queer than these non-queer pieces of media. I don't know.
Speaking of cyberpunk, there's a DLC coming out I think in September, and I don't know much about it except that Chloe in my community has been following up on it. And Faye said that they're in one of the trailers, they show you fighting cops, which is a huge, if true, big, because the Cyberpunk 2077, one of my huge criticisms of it, and many other people's as well, is that you're not supposed to fight cops. Like the game makes it really hard, and
it's like you're deputized as this like kind of like citizen cop.
You're like you're like a little baby cop where you're like you even have like cops tell you there's this crime going down. Can you please help us? And you can't stealth cops. If you touch a cop, a drone pops out of nowhere and starts trying to kill you. So it's just like real life. So if the Cyberpunk 2077 DLC coming out in September does allow you to fight cops, I will be taking back I will be amending a lot of my criticisms for this game, because that was huge.
It's true. It's like there are various, like it's the, fighting against whichever group or gang, like there are a limited number of them, and you can sort of defeat a group of people, and then the cops are programmed in as this like completely limitless resource that if you accidentally shoot at like a cop car in the game, like Tim said, like a drone pops out and then like it's just like forever like endless destruction, whereas they should be kind of presented as like another gang in a sense. That's what you should do in a game that's set in the real world. I mean the real world, sorry, I meant the real world. I meant cyberpunk world. That's what I meant to say. I meant a cyberpunk world, sorry.
No, I think that the thing, like the cyberpunk game being kind of horrid in various ways, but also kind of cool because it's cyberpunk, and I will just forever love cyberpunk as a genre. I hate like that's why I felt so guilty when the Netflix anime came out and it was like the best shit ever, and I was just like I don't want to enjoy it. I don't want to enjoy anything connected to that video game. Why is this so good? And but
I've been told to watch it, and I need to. It's not anime, is it? Is it anime?
Oh, it is. Yeah,
it's anime. And the thing I do find interesting about it is how they actually like really made it impossible for themselves to make a second season in the same story, because the story just actually ends, which I do find really, really impressive for a Netflix series. Because I would love to see more of this, but also no, they actually finished this. If they want to, they're gonna manage to like somehow butcher on a second season, but I think they already officially confirmed that there will be no second season, that the story is over, which I'll believe it when I see it, but like
I love that. I love it when they just tell a story, like they have a limited scope for the story and they just tell it and then they just walk away. I hate when they try and squeeze some more juice out of there.
Anyways, I think we have a little bit left in the show time, so we should probably wrap things up so we can do our end spiel. But does any of the hosts have anything else to say before we say goodbye to Maya?
Hack the planet.
Hack the planet. Maya, please come back on next time you want to tell us about any tech thing.
You can always invite me on as well. You can always invite me on to talk about tech shit or cyberpunk.
100%, but you know better than us, so it's like
we would love that.
A regular tech beat would be very welcome on Red Planet. So anytime you have anything to talk about,
I mean,
and we'll keep an eye on your blog as well.
If you have a tech topic you want to talk about, you can also just like tell me, hey, can you read up on this? Like I'm willing to come on here whenever.
Fantastic. It's
amazing.
Some bullshit.
Amazing. Yeah. she said it live as well, so we got a record of it. It's written down. You can't get out of this now.
Yeah,
we're gonna do one about the chess champion with the Bluetooth butt plug, and then make you learn about that.
You could probably invite
please give us
for that.
Extensive tech breakdown of love ends. We need to know everything there is to know about them. Hacking exploits, everything.
I actually have seen a lot of stuff about people hacking those
but
devices.
No, that's why that would be cool. But also there is the person for that, which is the person behind botplug.io, which is the open source tooling for connecting all of these together. They're very cool. There's technology for connecting all of those devices to video games, so you can finally properly heel slat. So yeah.
Oh, that's so exciting! Actually, for no reason at all.
Yeah,
I own 3 of those devices.
No, I've seen people doing that. Yeah, like like Maya was saying, heel slut. Like that's definitely a thing. And I feel like between consenting adults, there's fun to be had there. Right. Well, we should probably wrap it up. But thank you so much for coming along. Can't wait to have you back.
You got anything else you want to plug?
Follow me on Tumblr. At 9crimew. This is my main platform now, so yeah. If you find my Twitter account, no, you didn't. Also hit the follow button.
Is your Twitch account also 9crimew?
Yes, my Twitch account is also 9crimew. You can also follow me there. There will be streams eventually. Right.
Hell yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Cat girls of the world hack the planet.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thank you so much, Maya.
Thank you, Maya.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye. That was a great show.
That was yep. Always love having Maya on.
Good fun.
The best.
Yep.
But you know what else I like is when people support Red Planet on patreon.com/red_planet. So why don't you tell me more about that, Tim?
Fund our vibrating butt plug collection.
Yeah.
Or Conrad's producer
get themselves delivered to our houses by themselves.
Exactly. If we get 6 more sickos, we'll be able to get
we can show you how sick we can really get.
every host and make the stream terrible.
That's our next fundraising stream. But yes, to answer your question, Soph, so we have multiple tiers of membership that all, that all grant you different benefits. The first one we have is Sprite Mode. So Sprite Mode is $3.50 New Zealand, I think $2 American, and is it like £2? It's about that.
Yeah. £2.
Yeah. £2. 2 of your finest Great British pounds. So get started with your support for Red Planet by becoming a Sprite. The benefits include the sacred and forbidden knowledge that you are helping the Red Planet team, early access to VODs, access to the Red Planet Discord.
As our friend Matt earlier demonstrated.
And just, support
if anyone remembers.
Yeah. Mule, what is the next tier?
The next tier, Tim, is Goblin Mode. Everyone loves a goblin. It's £8.50, and that is $10 if you're in the USA, and in New Zealand,
$17.50.
$17.50. Everyone loves a goblin. We all get a little goblin mode from time to time. Complete your gobology by going goblin mode with everything from Sprite Mode, a pack of cool Red Planet stickers for you to stick in legal places and only places like that. Access as well to exclusive Red Planet Discord hangouts. So imagine that. You could be with us in the Discord, not only in the Discord, but watching stuff with us while we talk about it, incessantly pausing the thing, whatever it is, inserting our silly little comments. Imagine that. That would be good, wouldn't it, for everyone? And you can get that if you go Goblin Mode. But what if you wanted to go a bit more than Goblin Mode, Kira?
Great question, Mule. You can go Beast Mode for $20 a month, or £17.
Oh, she got it.
Or
$34.50.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Or $34.50. Sorry, I was trying to do math in my head. I'll trust you. $34.50. Holy shit! Are you gonna go Beast Mode? Well, then we can offer you all of the stuff from the lower tiers and pin badges. Yep. Pin badges. Wear your excellent new Red Planet pin badge literally everywhere. It is completely cool and good to do. All right. These are good, right? These are excellent tiers.
Yep.
But what if I'm just like
what if you're the kind of person who watches the Red Planet stream with a Bluetooth butt plug inserted and tuned to the sound of the stream?
Yeah. What if you're me?
Yeah, what if you're a sicko? Well, we killed Mule. We did it. He's gone. Okay, well, if you're a sicko, there is a mode for you, and it's called sicko mode. It costs £85 a month, I think $100 a month, I think 180.
It is, where is it? $172 per month.
Oh, I was never going to get that. If you support us this much, we can only really reasonably offer you all the stuff from the lower tiers. Plus, very special thank you message at the end of every stream, which looks like this. JBP, Narrowlon, Starfire, and Queen Pib. Holy shit, you little sickos. Why are you so cool?
Disgusting.
So cool.
Also, what the fuck? But also great. Based. But why?
3 sickos.
Ew. Thanks. Hooray. Ugh. Yeah, so thanks everyone. As well as the Patreon, it's really important to remember also that we have some merch. You can see me modeling the merch right here, right there. Look, that's me in our Queer Existence is Resistance t-shirt. You can also get it as a tote bag at mercenarycreative.com. That's Conrad's merch store. You can buy our merch there. There will be more merch soon, but for now, there's the Queer Existence is Resistance Pauper's Molotov. So check it out. But you know, that's how you can support the show in general. If I wanted to support Kira in specific, what would I do?
Well, you can go follow me on everything under Kira Chat. So Twitter, Blue Sky, it's kirachats.bsky.social. Twitch, twitch.tv/Kira Chats. Just go to my link tree, linktra.ee/Kira Chats. All of my links are there. Some very special ones, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Not safe for work, not safe for church. You know, they're very interesting and spicy, but I can't elaborate any further.
A priest is typing in a URL.
Right. But Mule, what if I wanted to find you?
Oh, you can find me on the internet. It's linktra.ee/DJ Mule, DJMUEL. I am at the minute, I'm very, very close to having finished editing my patron exclusive video, which turned into like a 2-hour long video, and I'm never going to do this again. It was a bad idea of like all the month.
We always say that.
It's just ridiculous. I don't know what I was thinking. I was like, what is an easy, nice thing that I can do for the patrons that's exclusive content? Well, I'll do a movie review of every single movie I watch every month. What I'm finding out is that I have no life and I watch way too many fucking movies. And that's no one is going to want to hear me talk all about that. So in later months, it's going to be less. It might be like 2 or 3 movies. I don't know. But at the minute, it's like fucking 20 movies. So it's about 2 hours long. So, you know, that's coming out soon. So you can get that if you get on the possum tier of my Patreon, which you can find at the linktra.ee/DJ Mule website. You can get me there on Blue Sky. Also, you can get me there on YouTube. I've got a VOD channel for all my stream VODs. You can get me on Twitch, etc., etc., etc. But that's me. But what about Soph?
What about me? Well, if you're on the internet, then you can find me at linktree.ee/Sophie from Mars. Through that, you can find my Twitch, my Twitter, my Tumblr, my Blue Sky, my patreon.com/Sophie from Mars, which is where you can see my content early. I'm putting up some exclusive stuff that was related to The World Is Not Ending soon. Some interviews I did an interview with FD Signifier and Ian Danskin from Innuendo Studios, asking them about what they think the next 100 years on the planet's going to be like. I've just finished writing and today filming, as I said earlier, an essay about AI. And that should be up for patrons pretty soon. So there's lots of stuff you can get on Patreon. If you go patreon.com/Sophie from Mars, or you go linktree.ee/Sophie from Mars and see all my links. And if you're French, you can find me in person somewhere within your cursed region next week, perhaps. Anyway, but what about Tim? That's what I want to know.
Well, so you can find me here on Twitch and also over on YouTube as Conquest of Dread. Very easy. On Twitter and Blue Sky now, you can find me as Dread Conquest. Not that I have really been using Blue Sky at all. I just checked and I've got like like 5 or 6 invite codes, something like that. I'm not like logging in there. It seems all right. Like I feel like if Twitter does eventually kick the bucket, then Blue Sky will be the one. So follow me on all those. And also, actually speaking of things that are vaguely, well, kind of cyberpunky, also, I've been working on a tabletop game for ages and it's getting really close to being finished. So I'm going to put the link in the chat. It's twitter.com/darkrpg2000 if you want to see how that's shaping up.
Absolutely click that link. Every bit of it I've seen has been really fucking cool.
Yeah, so that's really fun. But yeah, aside from that, those are all my things. Oh, actually, I did want to shout out. I completely forgot about it. If anyone hasn't seen it yet, there's a new HBO documentary series called The Telemarketers, or just Telemarketers. Everyone should check that out. It's very Red Planet. It's about a bunch of guys in the early 2000s who just started filming their workplace because they thought it sucked, and it was like, but sucked in a funny way. And then they just kept pulling these strings and found about big scams, police unions, everything like that. It's very good. Check it out. And the fact that it's mainly made out of footage from handycam footage from the early 2000s by a bunch of people. It is kind of amazing. It does feature a lot of like heavy drug use by people that are in active addiction though, so be warned. But it's really great. I reckon it's 2 out of 3 episodes out so far. It's HBO one. It's produced by the Safdie brothers, which is interesting. But yeah, check that out. I wanted to shout it out way earlier, but it completely slipped my mind. But yeah, so who else is someone to shout out? Kira? You've done.
We did it.
Yeah. Cool.
We did it.
All right. Well, there we go. Thanks for hanging out, everyone.
We're gonna raid my friend Nicotine.
Hell yeah. So yeah, we will see you all next week.
We will not see you next week. I'm not here, but also no one will see you next week. We're taking the week off. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's right. It's that week.
Yeah.
Bye.
We're a professional podcast.